Let's do it. Oh, yeah. Can you dig it? Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's Untethered Live on a Friday night, and I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and tonight we're just going to chill out and relax. It's been a long week. I'm tired. But I'm full of spunk and, vinegar, piss and vinegar, whatever they say. Bill Bennett, you're first in chat. Bill says, happy Friday, Untethered Live family. Bill, happy Friday to you, sir. How are you? You get the gold star for being first in chat. Amanda says, here's your gold star. Amanda says, hi, Bill, and hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. Happy Friday. I hope everyone had a good week. Hi, Jake. How are you tonight? Full. I ate a big old hamburger, some baked beans, some hush puppies, and some potato chips. And I'm full. I'm so full, in fact, I really want to be asleep. You know how that is when you get full and you want to go to sleep. But I got a show to do. So rain, sleet, snow, or hail or full, I got a show to do. So I must pull my fat butt up out of the bed and get on the camera. Bill, how you doing? Amanda says, oh, yeah, can you dig it? Yes, I can. Linda Davis is here. She says, hi, all. Hey, Linda. How are you, sweetie? Nice to see you. Amanda says hi with a wounded heart. Looks like somebody shot it with an arrow. Must have looked like a deer. Patty says, hello from Tennessee. Hello, Patty. Nice to see you. Amanda says hi with a heart exclamation point. Linda, you get a wounded heart. She gets a heart exclamation point. I'd see the manager about that. I got a nice hot cup of coffee. Thank you to the people that provide the coffee for the show. Don't you want to have a cup of coffee with me and talk about, stuff? If so, go to the kitchen, pour a nice hot cup of coffee, and let's get this conversation rolling. If you don't have a cup, though, I recommend you go down to the description below and get a coffee cup. You can get the first one that has my face on it, but there's several other ones there. Check them out. There's some new stuff on there. Go check it out and see what you like. Also, like, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats are available in the chat box if you want to show a little bit of love. You want to throw a little clang-a-lang my way, you want to BJ. You can do that right there in the chat box, and also hit that Cash App $JakeJohnsonband if you so choose. And one more thing. If you'd like to find a place where you can hang out with everybody outside of the show, outside of the purview of everything that happens on Untethered Live, a place where you can send pictures, text, chats, and videos with everybody around, you can do that at facebook.com/UntetheredLiveFamily. That's all one word, Untethered Live Family. It's a great place to hang out. I suggest you go check it out, and I appreciate you doing so. All right, back to the show. Amanda says the manager's out to lunch. Leave a message. He's getting full, too? Jesus. Linda says she got it right. Right on. Henrietta Haynes says, say Micah Pless. If you can spell it in English, I'll do that. Hello, Henrietta, and welcome to the show. I'm guessing by the name Henriette that you're female. It's an assumption, but it's a good one. Educated guess. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you from, who are you, and what do you want to talk about? Amanda says, oh, Linda Hunn, I'm here if you need me. I hope you're okay. I must have missed something. Hang on. Nope, I didn't miss anything. What are you talking about? Oh. She got it right? Is that a reason to cry? I missed something entirely. Oh, the shot heart. I see. Ooh. There's a whole level of context going on that I just did not grasp. That's what happens when you don't know how to read hieroglyphics. My heart goes out to you. You can borrow mine. It's not wounded. Dana's here. She says, greeting, folks. Hey, Dana. How are you, sweetheart? How's your grandpa? How are things? Amanda says, hi, Henriette. Welcome to the show. And hi, Dana. Vibrating heart. Patty says, hi, Dana. And Dana says, Amanda, heart, exclamation point. That's an emphatic heart, in case you didn't know. I'm so full I can't even breathe. Why you make me eat that big old hamburger? Whew. Amanda says, LOL, Jake, totally missed it. I got you, Linda, hun. I can read between the lines. Apparently, I can't. I'm sorry. I missed that. I try not to miss things, but, you know. You young people in your emojis. Linda says, Amanda gets it. It's female speak. Must be. But I love you anyway. And I hear you. I'm a little slow, but I'm on board now. So it's been a pretty cool day. I got a new feature on YouTube I got to try out a little bit later. And let's see what else. Oh, I got a nice little tablet. My honey got it for me. It's a nice little gift. Now I can do all my stuff anywhere. It's quite nice. And that's about it. That's been Friday. No work today, as usual. I didn't find that out until I got up to go to work today, but, you know. So we made other arrangements. Did some other stuff. I got to go by and see my buddy and fix his guitar, which is always a pleasure. Amanda says, well, I don't twist your arms. I just made it and put it in front of you. Yeah, but you know I'm going to eat whatever you put in front of me. I was raised right. So Amanda says, right, Linda? And for yourself at says, yo, sir, can you sing Fire and Rain? I don't do much James Taylor, if that's what you're referring to. I'm aware of the song. I have played it before. It's a little out of my range. And I'm not in a position where I could play it tonight, but I could play it tomorrow if I had time to listen to it. Amanda says, hi for yourself. Welcome to the show. And yes, welcome to the show. Come on in. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you, where you're from, and what do you want to talk about other than Fire and Rain? Unless Fire to the Rain is another song. I'm assuming you mean Fire and Rain by James Taylor. Fire to the Rain. I might not know that song. I may not have ever heard it before. Who does it? Is it the James Taylor song or is it something else? If it's something else, I need to know who it is. Amanda says, and you didn't even save room for cake, LOL. There's cake too? Jesus, I'll be dead before the evening's over with. I'm so full now I can't breathe. Had a little bit of everything, though. It was delicious. Cake, says for yourself. Right on. Good cake, too. She made a killer pound cake yesterday with chocolate on it. And I don't usually see chocolate on a pound cake, but it's good. I might have room for it after the show, but I need to digest a little bit. Savor that hamburger. It's a big old hamburger, too. It's that big. Couldn't even fit the thing in my mouth. I had to bite at it in little chunks. That was a good hamburger right there. Sloppy all over the place between all 5 fingers. Yeah, that's a hamburger. What'd you guys have for dinner? Anything good and savory? Dana, what'd you eat? Amanda says, thick and juicy, the way it should be. Right on. I agree. I don't think hamburgers should be nondescript. I think they should be way messy. It ain't a hamburger unless it's messy. And those little hush puppies were on point, too. I don't know where you got that idea from, but I liked it. And that's probably cook for. We don't have any French fries. Fab Daddy's here. He says, happy Friday. Who's got the hot date tonight? Me. I got the hot date tonight with you guys. This play date right here. Us. Tired of potatoes, says Amanda. Right on. And hi, Fab. What did you have for dinner tonight, Fab Daddy? Patty says if you put your Jake voice with Levon lyrics and add some special picking, you would have a great song, Jake. I'm telling you. Yes, I am going to look into that because you have asked me about 5 times or more to play Levon, and I put you down every time. So I'm going to spend some special attention on that song just for you, okay? I give you my word on it. It'll come very soon. Fab Daddy says, I haven't eaten yet. It's only 5:44. 5:44? It's 8:43. What you talking about? Oh, you're in California. Yeah. Okay, I see. For Yourself says, so, sir, if you have time, can you watch the movie All Quiet at Wasden Frontline? If you have time, watch it. It's based on World War I at the Third Year War. I'm not a big fan of war movies, but I'll look into it. If you say it's a good movie, I'm always up for a good movie. There's a lot of generic war movies, and they're all basically the same. But then you got things like Hacksaw Ridge, which is an exceptional movie that stands out in the crowd. So if it's like that, I'll watch it. Patty says, peace. Well, you know I love you. I can't let you ask for something too many times before I capitulate. So I will give it to you. I just got to get it in my head. I did know it years and years and years ago, but it's been so long I don't even remember what it sounds like. Linda says, I think she might be talking about the song Set Fire to the Rain by Adele. Oh, that's possible. I wouldn't know that song. That's a little young for me. Although I did learn that song Hello by Adele when she first came out. I did do that one in a band. But as a general rule, I don't do Adele. Also, kind of the mustache gives it away. I know she has one too, but we're not going to go there. John H. says, hi, family. What's up, John? Good to see you. And thank you for that. Linda, I did not even think of a new song called Fire to the Rain. Fab Daddy says, once were 2 soldiers, tearjerker. Right on. Amanda says, hi, John. Patty says, cartoon music. Right on. I know what you're saying. I'll get with it in a minute, guys. I'm so full, I can't even think straight. I don't need to eat right before a podcast, that's for sure. Good gracious. I still taste the onion. All right. Bear with me for just a second. I got a new feature on YouTube, and I have no idea what it does. This will take 1 minute. So bear with me, and let's see what happens, okay? You guys, when I come back, you tell me what happened. Patty says that's what Nugent calls new music, right? All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Go. All right, we're back. So, let's talk about it. That's the new feature that YouTube gave me. I believe its intention is for me to intentionally place ads in the middle of a show rather than having them randomly pop up for people. I think that's the purpose of it. What did you guys see? Did anybody catch an ad? Anything other than what was on screen? John says, I'm full too. I had 20 eclairs earlier. Please tell me you did not eat 20 eclairs. Jesus Christ, John, that's enough to feed a small army. Fab Daddy says, is this your pretend hotel room? No, it's supposed to be a placeholder for ads. I can put one of my videos there, but it only gives me the option for a video, which it can't be a monetized video, so it has to be something I make for that. So I make a thing and then not monetize it. Then I can use that. But right now, that's the option they gave me. But what I'm assuming is supposed to happen is when that thing pops on, I click a button and it starts ads rolling over top of it. That's what I think is supposed to happen. And if that's the case, then we can solve the problem of having random ads hitting people at different times, and we can all just have it in one place towards the end of the video or in the middle of the video, something like that. And that way I can get my ads played. Everybody will watch them because they can step away and go to the bathroom or whatever and let the ad play. And then also the show won't be interrupted by random ads popping up at different times for different people. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. Bill Bennett says, sorry, guys. Kids distracting my show. I'll have to rewatch. LOL. God bless you guys. You all is awesome. Bill, we love you. Tell your kids we said hello and stop distracting the show. They have phones. Tell them to get on and join the show. Mr. P says, I don't know what is going on here. LOL. Well, if you scroll up and read the chat, you'd find out I was testing a new feature. That's what's happening. Amanda says, hold on a minute, Patty. New feature. And hi, Mr. P. And Patty says, house tour. Right on. What did you guys see? Was it just a picture? Or was it moving? What happened? Did I just come back? No. Have I been back? Yeah. Okay. No ads, says Fab Daddy. Amanda says, good night, Bill. Mr. P says, weird stuff, no ad. Okay. Thank you, Mr. P. I'll have to work on that. That was what it's supposed to do, is run ads at that spot, but apparently not. We'll see. Amanda says, it was an ad when you click skip. It just goes to the picture. I got you. John says, I saw a curtain blowing. All right. Linda says, all I saw was pictures of a house. Okay. More than one picture? Was it like flipping pictures? For Yourself says, is life worth it? Yes, it is. I'm facing a hard time now. I have a YouTube channel where I got post-edit. But, not asking too many questions, but life is worth it. Is life worth it? You can ask all the questions you want for yourself. That's why we're here, and we welcome you to do so. I ask that you hit the like button and the subscribe button, but I will answer your question. Yes, life is worth it. You never know what's going to happen around the corner. And I assure you that life has a way of doing things that you least expect happen. It's going to happen. So, if nothing else, for sheer morbid curiosity, life is worth it. Also, you have no idea how incredibly rare life is in this universe that we have. The fact that you've been given one is incredibly a special deal. Everybody don't get a life. Ask the people that don't exist. They'll tell you. But you exist. You're here and now in a special time in the world. So, yes, it's absolutely worth it. Second thing, you have a YouTube channel. I don't know what post-edit means. You edit it after you had it? Are you talking about videos on your channel? What are you talking about? Did someone do something to your channel? But congratulations on your YouTube channel, and I'll go check out your content. And I will send other people to your show if you have one. If it's any good, if it's worth somebody's time, I will recommend you. So yes, life is worth it, and hard times is what makes life worth it, because after hard times comes good times. Fab Daddy says 1 + 1 = 3. Ad. Wrong kind of ad. You got too many D's in your ad. Mr. P says, same, Linda, just pics of some house. Well, I apologize. I'll work on it and see if I can't make it better. Next time we test it, maybe it'll do something different. Patty says, makes sense. And Fab Daddy says, I think it's a good thing. Life, yes, it is. And Dana says, Fab Daddy, LOL. Smiley, smiley. Mr. P says, still's alternating. Okay. From my perspective, all I saw was like a bed and a table with a coffee cup on it. That was it. John says, I could say I have a sweet tooth, but I am a gummy bear. So your whole body is sweet, not just the teeth. Fab Daddy says, hairbow. Kaibo, your turn. What is a hairbow? I like it, though, whatever it is. Amanda says, and Linda, I have talked to Rachel, and she is doing a lot better now. She might be in tonight. Well, that would be nice if she came by. Kind of worry about that girl sometimes. Linda says, yes, flipping pictures, kind of cartoon ones with movement in the pictures. So basically, it's just showing you a placeholder, but it should be running ads on top of that. So I need to figure out what I did wrong and why it ain't working. Thank you for the input. Amanda says, yep. No. Linda says, that's good to hear, Amanda. I hope she does come in tonight. Me too. Fingers crossed. Amanda says, yep. She just let too many things get to her all at once. Fab Daddy says, Haribo is a name brand of gummy bears. Oh, I did know that. John H. says, it's a jelly sweet, Jake. Got it. I did know that. I don't know why I didn't make that connection. I guess because it's not a thing I normally mess with, but I have heard that before. That's the company that makes those gourmet jelly beans, isn't it? The ones that taste like popcorn and puke and things like that. Amanda says, I told her everyone was asking about her and concerned, and she said it makes her feel loved knowing that we think about her. Of course we do. She's part of the family. Of course we think about her. John says, I meant gummy bear because I ain't got no teeth. Well, that just, yeah, you're a gummy bear. Got it. You must be if you gummed 20 eclairs. Jesus. I can't even think about 20 eclairs. It'd make me throw up just thinking about it. I can eat one, maybe two if they're really good. Unless you're talking about little tiny eclairs. If they're the size of an eclair, ain't no way you could eat 20 of them. Or you might could. I can't. That's wild. That is a sweet tooth, John. That's a whole mouth full of sweet teeth and a bag full to carry around in your pocket. Like you've been around collecting sweet teeth. Wow. I do like an eclair, though. My favorite's the Boston cream pie eclair. It's got the Bavarian cream on the inside and the chocolate on the outside. Yeah, that's a good eclair. Yum, yum. Boston cream. Which is really Bavarian cream for those of you that are playing along. Which is really just vanilla pudding. But don't tell anybody that. They won't believe you. Jello pudding is all it is. Amanda says, I'm going to make Boston cream cupcakes. I still don't see how that would be good. John says, the other night, I had 15 fried chickens and 15-inch pizza. The whole chicken or just pieces of chicken? Like wings? I could eat 15 chicken wings. You mean the whole chicken? Jesus. Dakota writes here. He says, hey, fans. Hey, friends. What's up, Dakota? I can talk. I'm not having a stroke. Amanda says, it's an eclair, just cupcake form. Nope. It's like Mexican food. If it ain't shaped like a taco, it's not a taco. I don't care if it's got the same 4 ingredients. That's a burrito, and this is a taco. That's a cupcake. That's an eclair. They taste different. They feel different. They're mentally consumed differently. Dakota Wright says, hey, Amanda. Amanda says, hi, Dakota. John says, fillets. Fillets. 15 fillets. Like, I guess you're talking about white meat then. Wow. John, you have an appetite, sir, that is momentous. Amanda says, we won't talk about tacos, LOL. I can eat some tacos now. I can eat 6 tacos by myself. John says, hold my beer. Amanda says, John, are you a pothead? No, I think he just likes eating. He might be, though. A 15-inch pizza is not that bad, though. I could eat a 15-inch pizza by myself. I couldn't eat 15 chickens on top of it, but I could eat a 15-inch pizza. That's what, a medium? Mr. P says, I haven't had an eclair for ages. I only like a few sweets. Pumpkin rolls with cream, cheese, icing, and chocolate-covered raisins are my favorites. Right on. I don't much care for the chocolate-covered raisins. I see the appeal. I don't like mixing things. I like things that have their own flavor. Amanda says, I can eat 6 wings and 2 pieces of pizza. Right on. And John says, nope, I ain't smoked that for 30 years. No potheads here. Except for Fab Daddy. He's pothead enough for us all. And Amanda says, chocolate-covered cashews. No, I don't like that either. I like chocolate and I like cashews, but I don't want them in the same bite. I'm weird like that. Dana says, Bavaria is a region in southeast of Germany. The Bavarians never hate to be called Germans. Germany is highly divided. Right on. So Bavarians like being called Germans? Is that what you're saying? Even though they're not German, technically? Fab Daddy says, I'm back. Mom just called. Hey, Mom. And Fab Daddy says, I do smoke. I love it. Yes, you do. Dana says, they do hate to be called Germans because they're not. They're Bavarians. Got it. Understood. Amanda says, Dana, where did the term bohemian come from? To mean, street people. Amanda says, well, you're coming around to mixing foods, Jake. I come up with some good mixtures. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm 100% against it. I'm just not a fan of it. I much prefer to have simple tastes. I'm a simple man. I like regular coffee. I like regular tea. I don't want a lemon in my tea. Lemons and teas are 2 different trees. You know what I'm saying? I'm weird like that, I guess. Dana says they are Germans, yet they hate Germany. It might have something to do with Mean Mr. Mustache, if you know what I mean. He might have put a bad taste in their mouth. Who knows? Fab Daddy says, I just got a whole plant from my friend. It was hanging since October. Is that good? I don't know anything about it. I guess hanging means it was upside down so that the resins could go into the buds. I think that's what you're talking about. Or whatever. THC. Whatever it is. Amanda says, nice, Fab. Mr. P says, weird like that, hey? LOL. Yeah, weird like that. I think I'm weird like that. Fab Daddy says, I love good friends. Me too, Fab Daddy. Can't beat them. I mean, you can, but then they wouldn't be good friends for very long. I much prefer to love on my friends. I don't like beating on them. For Yourself says, I think that's an O face, but it looks like a colon and a D. Colon D. That's what you strain spaghetti with, I guess. Fab Daddy says, I saved the beatings for the children. Dana says, my country used to be called Bohemia for 900 years until 1918 after the World War II. And we were renamed Czechoslovakia and in 1992 to the Czech Republic. Got it. So if you were Bohemian, that meant that you came from a certain part of the region where you're from. I assumed it was some kind of reference to a cultural lifestyle, such as people that roam from house to house, free living people in New York in the mid-'70s, you know, that sort of heroin chic behavior. That's where they started calling them Bohemian around here. I don't know why they would make that connection, though. That's what I'm trying to figure out. The word Bohemia means godly or with God. Okay. Well, maybe it was in reference to, like, cultish type people that gathered together and worshipped in their own little ways. Maybe that's why they got that name. I don't know. But around America, if you describe something as Bohemian, you get a certain image of a certain type of person in your mind. And it's not a Christian church-going type. It's weird. Bohemian also has another meaning in pop culture. That's what I'm talking about, Mr. P. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Mildly trying to figure it out. Mr. P says, yes, Jake, LOL. Yeah, I don't know exactly why that came to be, but it does. There's definitely a thing with that word in America. And I don't think it means the same thing where you're from as it does where I'm from. I never use that word, though, so I don't really know. I just thought it was interesting. It might be one of those tricky things, such as the Bohemian Grove in California. They definitely do culty things there. They've got a giant owl statue, and they sacrifice effigies. They do mock sacrifices there. And all the rich people go there, and all world leaders go there. It's something different. I don't know what they're doing there, but it's weird. Normal people aren't allowed to go in. You have to be, like, invited to go there. Fab Daddy says, I'm only on my 7th winter this year. Had to build a fire. I hear you. Yeah, it keeps getting cold and hot here, too. Every time I think winter's over, the next few days I'll be freezing. Dana says, my nation used to be called the Kingdom of Bohemia precisely for 900 years, before the global New World Order taking over, starting in 1918. Interesting. Amanda says, I got chilly here today again too, Fab. Yep. We're definitely bundling up, wearing long sleeves now. And it was like air conditioner weather yesterday, so go figure. I came that close to turning my AC on yesterday. It was so hot when I got home from work. Sir, have you ever played game before? Yeah. For yourself, I've played a game before. Several different types of games. I played physical games, and I played emotional games, and I played literal games, and I played figurative games. Which are you referring to? Have you ever played name before? I don't know what that is. Is that where you call me something and I call you something? How do we play name? Amanda says, something's peeking. Linda says, Mr. P, you don't like ℒ𝕟𝕢𝕐𝕐𝕗. I'm not even going to try to say that. Baklava. I know what baklava is. ℒ𝕟𝕢𝕐𝕗, ℂ𝕟𝕚𝕝𝕝𝕝, or baklava. I'm guessing those are Greek desserts. I know what baklava is. That's the only reason I say that. Fab Daddy says, has Jake ever played Spin the Bottle? Yes, he has. And Jake has won Spin the Bottle. You can't win the Spin the Bottle. Yes, you can. It culminates in a closet somewhere. Patty says, ooh, I love baklava. I've had it one time in my life. And to me, I don't know if they made it right or not, but to me, it tastes like oak leaves dipped in honey. That's what it tasted like. Mr. P says, I love Greek desserts, Linda. Those are only around at special times of year. John says, I went to a cafe before done a challenge. Big breakfast, 12 sausages, 10 eggs, tomatoes, beans, fried bread, and 19 rashers of bacon, and a black pudding, and mushrooms, and hash browns. Jesus. Did you win anything for eating all of that? Are you a professional eater? Are you one of those people that shove hot dogs in your mouth and get a trophy at the end? What do you call those? There's a name for it, but I can't think of what it is. Patty says, layers of good stuff. Well, the one that I had, and like I said, I've only had it once, and I don't know if they made it right. They were not Greek people. They were blonde-headed people, so I don't know what their deal was. But it tasted like oak leaves baked in honey. It was layers of what looked like oak leaves. Like if you could just imagine oak leaves matted together, that's what it looked like. And you bite into it, it's crunchy, and it tasted like honey. That's all I remember. Linda says, the closest game is canceled. 7 minutes in heaven, LOL. Right on. Yep, 7 minutes in heaven. That's what happens after Spin the Bottle. 7 minutes in heaven. Where you get to feel around in the dark and find where everything is. See if you can find the light switch, if you know what I'm saying. Fab Daddy says 10 eggs. That's worth $100. $100. It is if you buy them now, for sure. Amanda says, speed eater. Yep, there's another word for it. I don't think it has anything to do with, well, I guess it does have to do with how fast they eat, but it has to do with how much they can eat without throwing up. John says, yep, I didn't pay for it. That's what I won. You didn't have to pay for it. That's something. Mr. P says, you didn't get that right stuff, Jake. You didn't get the right stuff. That's not what baklava is. Well, that's what they called it. I'm just reporting what happened. I don't know that it was correct. I was in a trailer park, and these were like bikers, so it could have been anything. I don't know, but they called it baklava. That's the only reason I know what baklava is because of that one experience in my life that I happen to remember. Other than that, I wouldn't have a clue. Linda Davis says, damn, spell check. It happens. For Yourself says, I got my dog with me. What kind of dog you got for yourself? Also, how old are you? Just curious. Mr. P says, perhaps I'll send y'all some for the holidays next Christmas. That'd be nice. I'll try anything once, especially from an authentic Greek that actually knows what it is. You're 14. Okay. And are you male or female? I need to know so I can know how I'm talking to you. You're welcome, of course. I'm not trying to push you away or nothing. You're most welcome here. I just need to know who I'm talking to so that I can respond in kind. Thank you. Sometimes it gets a little tricky with handles because it doesn't accurately describe who you're talking to. And sometimes you can say the wrong thing to the wrong person if you don't know who you're talking to. So that's why. Patty says bikers had the other stuff and they just called it baklava. Maybe. I don't know what it was. It wasn't anything I've ever eaten before. I know that. But it seemed like it was oak leaves. It kind of had that consistency about the texture of an oak leaf. Crunchy, like a brown oak leaf that you get off the ground. It had kind of a crumbly, crunchy texture to it. It's the best as I can describe it. For Yourself says, I use my brother's phone because my phone got stuck in the bathroom, LOL. I hear you. Especially if you got brothers. I imagine it's hard to take a moment in the bathroom if you got brothers. Fab Daddy says, it's phyllo dough. Pistachio honey. So it does have honey in it. Okay, so they got that part right. And Mr. P says, that's the phyllo dough, Jake. That's traditional. Well, maybe it was baklava, and I just was too redneck to understand what it was I was eating. I have a more educated palate now in my 50s. And I was probably 19 or 20 when I tried it, so. And lots of butter. Yeah, it seems like I remember that. I'll have to try it again. That way I'll know what I'm tasting. This was one of those moments where they were like, here, taste this, and they put it in my mouth and then told me what it was. It's baklava. To which I answered, what the hell is baklava? So now I know. I was much less educated in those days. It seems to me, though, that Greek food is all about the tartness of it, the like vinegary and balsamic, whatever. So it would be green, lots of greens, olives and that sort of thing, cucumbers, lots of lettuce, that sort of thing. So I don't know. I don't know much about Greek food. Mr. P says, never let a stranger put things in your mouth, Jake. Well, I know that now. They weren't strangers. They were just people that I didn't eat around very much. And it was a holiday. They shoved something in my mouth, and it was baklava. But you're right. Never let a stranger put something in your mouth. Amanda says, LOL, right, Mr. P? Like sticking your fingers in holes. Never let a stranger stick his fingers in your holes? What? Fab Daddy says, I don't particularly like grape leaves. I don't think I've ever eaten grape leaves. I don't think I knew that they had leaves. I guess they do. They're on vines. Mr. P says, you never had grape leaves until you had it from a real Greek. Right on. Patty says, know anything about ashwagandha? I do not. I don't even know what that word means. Ashwagandha? Ashwagandha. I may have heard that word before, but I'm not exactly sure what it is or where it is. Amanda says, no, Jake, don't stick your fingers in strangers' holes. Oh, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Although, how would you ever get to know somebody? You know what I mean? Fab Daddy says, and some goat cheese is just foul and nasty when some are delicious. Yes, I've heard that. I've heard that goat milk is kind of strong, too. For Yourself says, stranger danger. That's what my dad told me. Your dad is correct. For Yourself, always stranger danger. Stay to yourself, stay to your kin, and let your brothers and your dad protect you. John says, I like haggis. Is that, that's like meat stuffed in a sheep's stomach with some other stuff, right? I've never eaten haggis. I've heard of it. I know what it is. Galactovarico is phyllo dough or a pastry and farina and a honey syrup poured over it. That might be what I had. That sounds more like it. Mr. P says, Fab. Fab swears we're on the same wavelength right now. Or I swear we're on the same wavelength right now. I didn't see either of your comments. Interesting. Amanda says, ashwagandha is an evergreen shrub that grows in Asia and Africa. It's commonly used for stress. Ooh, okay. There's a plant that grows in the land of the big feet people. Down at the tip of South America. What's that place called? It means big feet. All I can think of is Palaguena, but that's not it. You know, it's the southernmost tip of South America. Anyway, there's a plant down there that's basically like cocaine, and they chew on it. I don't want some of that. Patagonia. That's the place I was thinking of, Patagonia. And the natives there grow it, and they pick it and wear it around their belt in a pouch, and they pull out a little shrub and chew on it, and it gets them high in some kind of way. I think it gives them energy or something, but that's definitely worth a try. Linda says, ashwagandha is a herb. Yes, it is. Amanda says, Linda, I need to get with you on some of your herbs. What herbs are we talking? Fab Daddy says, isn't ashwagandha a Marvel movie? I love Long Live Ashwagandha. I think that's something else. I should have thought of that joke. That's a good one, Fab Daddy. I can't think of it now either. Linda says, definitely anytime, Amanda. 47 says, chicken, butter, never eat together because I got hurt in my stomach last night. Yeah, chicken and butter together would be a stomach ache for sure. John says, it makes you trip like LSD. Ashwagandha does? Interesting. Well, you know, there's a lot of the stuff that makes you trip. I can't think of what it is right off the top of my head, but it's in a lot of different things. It's in lettuce. It's in morning glories. If you go outside and grab a morning glory and put it in your mouth and chew on it, you'll trip balls. I think it requires something else to activate it, though. I think that's why it's not a commonly known thing. It's like ayahuasca. Ayahuasca by itself won't do anything. You got to boil it with a specific root and a specific leaf that grows in that area to activate the thing so that it'll actually work. That's why it's good to go to South America to get it. Wild lettuce, says Linda Davis, mugwort, etc. Right on. Yeah, there's one thing that grows in the yard. I saw it on YouTube. The people that sell that book that we were talking about before. It's like some kind of wild lettuce or some kind of thing that grows in your yard, and it's supposed to be like morphine. It's the best natural painkiller there is if you prepare it a certain way. I'd like to learn how to do that. Amanda says, I need a few herbs. I'm having a couple of different issues, and I don't want pharmaceuticals to handle it. Right on. Fab Daddy says, nope, I won't chew morning glories. Probably a smart move. Mr. P says, morning glories are my favorite flower. They come back every year. I love them. I got them all around my house. Fab Daddy says, I will suck the honey from the petals. Right on. Linda Davis says, you need the stalks with the milky stuff in it for the wild lettuce tincture. Right. I think I've seen that before. Amanda says, don't eat angel trumpets either. Well, no, because then the angels wouldn't be able to blow. Also, it's stuck in your teeth. Yeah. What is an angel trumpet? I'm assuming a plant. For Yourself says, whatever, hear Russian, they all say for the fatherland. I think they say for the motherland. Whenever you hear Russians say, they all say for the motherland. That's just their national pride speaking. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm an American and I say USA all the time. So I don't have a problem with that. Let them do what they do. They're Russians. Let them be. Amanda says, it's a plant and it can kill humans if you eat it. Lots of plants can kill people. Fab Daddy says, my favorite angel blows hard trumpet. Right on. John says, just make sure you don't like a frog. You don't lick a frog. They're poisonous. Some of them are poisonous. Some of them will send you to meet God in a good way. My question is who figured that out? Who was the first person that licked a frog's butt because they were bored? And what it is here, he says, coming into town, just a whooping and a whooping. Whooping and a whomping. And it still did not do any good. Right on. 47 says, almost I'm here for the fatherland. Or almost I hear for the fatherland. I hear you. I don't care about the fatherland. It has nothing to do with me. So I don't pay attention to it. Amanda says, hey, what it is? And Patty says, trying to get rid of Xanax naturally and slowly. Yeah, that's a hard thing to do, Patty. If you've been on it a while, don't quit. Because that's one of those things that'll hijack you. And it's almost impossible to break that habit. It's very dangerous to quit. So you have to wean off slowly. Very slowly. What it is says, hello, Amanda, and to all. Hey, what it is, what's going on? Amanda says, oh, Patty, that's a pill I'd like to have, LOL. Now that's a pill I'd like to have. Xanax? No, I don't need that kind of mess. Only pill I'll take is a painkiller. I don't even like aspirin. Fab Daddy says, I believe it was a relative of Joe Dirt that licked the first frog's butt. Probably. And John says, seek advice first. Right on. Definitely don't quit. Just wean off slowly. Jordan Peterson was on those things. He was on something. I don't know if it was Xanax, but he was on something that is Xanax-like. And he quit. And he went into a coma. He went into fits. They had to take him to Russia to go to a hospital that treated him a certain kind of way that they won't do in America to get him off of it. Because he was like having real problems. And he was there for almost a year before he got back to normal. He went through a lot. Linda Davis says, Patty, you can use skullcap, which I'm assuming is a type of plant. For Yourself says, I used to play paintballs. You're a little young for that game, aren't you? What are you doing whacking people in the balls? The paintball is a game where you get pain, LOL. Yeah, I got it. I understand. Why would you do that, though? Patty says, nah, no pillbilly here. I just don't want to be on something if I should have to something. Fight, fall, forget, finger. I don't know. What it is says, yep, someone had to try it first. When they came through it, they said to their buddy, hey, check this out. Pull my finger. Listen. There's a few things in the world that I would definitely like to have been there when it first came to be, because some of it you got to explain it to me. For example, we as a society drink milk. That means that somebody had to be sitting there watching a cow thinking, I got to try it. Could you imagine the conversation he was having with himself? No, everybody's going to think I'm an idiot. Maybe I'll do it when nobody's looking. I got to try it, though. It looks so good. See what I'm saying? That's definitely one of those I'd like to have been there the first day that was figured out. Fab Daddy says, why did we have pencil fights in school? Because I was young and dumb. It's just a thing that people do when they don't have Nintendos and cell phones. They invent things to keep themselves busy, which is what you're supposed to do. The cell phone has hijacked that part of childhood, so they probably don't do those things anymore. They definitely cannot stay busy for hours with no toys. You ever seen the kid playing with a string? Come up with all kinds of things to entertain yourself with no money. John says, make sure it's the right teat. Yeah, you can't drink from a bull. It has to be a cow. Amanda says, what about the person who got to eating eggs? Oh, yeah. I want to eat what came out of that chicken's butt. See, that's another conversation that I would like to have been part of. Amanda says, babies play with tags and boxes, completely entertained for a while. Yes, because they don't need anything. You buy them the most expensive toy in the shop, they'd rather play with the box. For yourself says, it's really confusion. Messenger, I am you uncle. Come, he always says the cows have different colors, but the color of their milk is the aim. I think that's a long way around saying your uncle told you that chocolate milk came from brown cows and white milk came from white cows. That's incorrect. Fab Daddy says, does the egg come from the butt? Actually, it comes from the cloaca, but we won't talk about that. Really, Amanda? Well, yes, it does. But chickens don't actually have anuses. They have cloaca, which is a multi-purpose tool. Like a duck. What it is, what about what came out of the bull sack? Mountain oysters. No. Somebody ate that because they were trying to eat everything and not waste any of the bull. And so they said, well, we'll try that too. I can understand that one. Gross, but I understand the thinking behind it. First, we didn't eat eggs, and then we did eat eggs. First, we didn't drink milk, and then we did drink milk. Somewhere in the middle, somebody had to try it for the first time in front of everybody else. Amanda says, LOL, Fab, chickens only have one exit hole. Fab Daddy says they have two. And Fab Daddy says regurgitate. Yeah, they don't throw up the eggs. No, they come out the back. For yourself says, sorry for the spelling mistakes because I have to help my dog sleep. Right on. It's dog. It don't care. John says, I wonder how they know how a cow was pregnant. Hand up the butt. They knew a cow was pregnant because it gained a lot of weight real fast after it was sired. That's an interesting thing about cows. Cows don't give birth very well. In 99% of the cases, they need assistance from a human being, which is interesting to think. That's proof of God right there, because God created an animal that can't give birth by itself very easily. It requires a human being to help out. Also, in the pregnating of a cow, it requires human beings to help out. Now, this could be a case of many years of domestication and just losing the desire to do so. But I assure you, cows have always been intended to be beasts of burden. They are wild cows, but they're not like the cows that we have. Fab Daddy says, do cocks have cocks? Sort of. Mr. P says, cows' teats get fat when they're pregnant. Right on. For Yourself says, that's weird, I say. Patty says, I read recently, and we should not drink milk after puberty. I agree with that statement. First of all, we are not typical milk drinkers. Everybody's born lactose intolerant, and we develop, in certain cultures, develop an immunity to lactose. But there's other cultures in the world that can't tolerate it because it's not part of their daily routine to drink milk. Like a lot of people in the Asian continents are very lactose intolerant. They can't drink milk like we do. I don't think it's a normal thing to drink milk. And by milk, I don't mean mother's milk. That's a different thing. For Yourself says, bout cock. Oh, sorry. Ha ha ha. Do cocks have cocks? Yes, they do. They're tiny, but they have them. What it is says, do chickens have to worry about going to the OBGYN? No. And they need it worse than we do because they've got 3 holes in one. We got separate holes for each thing. Fab Daddy says, Amanda says, yes, Fab Daddy, and ducks' penises are spiraled, spring-shaped. Yep, corkscrew-like. And they mate underwater. So while you see ducks peacefully floating on the pond, what's going on underwater is a whole nother world. There's mayhem down there. And they sneak up on you and do it. They're not expecting it when it happens. Or maybe they are. Maybe they're wise to it. Who knows? Danny says chickens only have one exit hole. Both come from the same exit. Yet they have separate systems for reproduction and digestion. Yes, it's called a cloaca. Fab Daddy says, your chat's about to jump and confuse the heck out of you. As it does. I'll find it. Hang on. I went too far. Fab Daddy says, weird. Learn something new every day. Right on. Amanda says, Mr. P, every female's teats get big when they're pregnant. Yes, they do. Amanda says, yes, Dana. Linda Davis says, I spent many years on a cattle farm, and they all had no problem in either area. We did not have to intervene 99% of the time. Well, you got lucky. I can tell you many places that they have to help. Maybe it's a certain type of breed. Who knows? Mr. P says, they do. Smiley face. EA says, hello. What's up? Nice to see you, EA. Amanda says, did you guys know a woman's breast milk will cure upset stomach? Yeah. It'll also cause it. Don't believe that? Talk to babies. Millions of babies can't be wrong. That was a joke. That was a collie joke. Amanda says, hi, EA. And John says, I can't have gastro reflux syndrome. Why? You got the stomach thing? A clamp? Well, that's not what he said. Amanda says, LOL, John. Amanda says, some ducks do it on land. Fab Daddy says, this whole conversation is foul. I like where your head's at. EA says, Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Fab Daddy says, I meant foul. I got what you meant. Linda Davis says, LOL, Fab. And Amanda says, learning something is not weird, Fab. Right on. It's always nice to learn something. May not be what you wanted to learn, but it's something. I just ate a big hamburger. I'm lucky I'm not asleep. So we're doing something good. Fab Daddy. LOL, says Amanda. EA says, what do you say about Trump trying to steal other lands? Trump is not trying to steal other lands. What are you talking about? That's nonsense. Why would you say something like that? You know that's not true. Trump has no intentions of stealing any other lands. He might buy them. He might conquer them. He's not stealing them. Liberals. Fab Daddy says, springcock is weird and is a part of my rifle and a chicken. Yes, this is my rifle. This is my gun. This is for battle. This is for fun. You know what I'm saying? Linda Davis says, it's the type of cow. Got it? Most dairy cows need help. Well, there you go. So, what you're saying is it's a symbiotic relationship. The cows need help, but the cows also provide dairy and cheese, that sort of thing, and steak in the ultimate case. So we help them and they help us, almost like God designed it to be a symbiotic relationship, which was my point. So you're right. What it is says, I'm going slightly mad. Yep. You know what'll cure that? Slight happy juice. John says, I can't drink milk as I've got that. The gastro problem, yes. Milk is not good for you. And to Patty's point, milk contains estrogen, and it contains several other things that isn't good for the body. Despite, I know the commercial says it is good for the body, but it isn't. And it doesn't make your bones strong. That's just a myth. No more than drinking, celery juice will. But milk is extremely good for infants, especially if it's mother's milk, because it has all the nutrients and stuff in it that they're supposed to drink. But after a certain period of time, your body does not need that anymore, and it needs to move into a different existence, a different type of being, which milk will not help. So, yeah, if you continue to drink milk into your adulthood, you're going to have lots of problems. And then ultimately, you're going to have problems with your bones, like osteoporosis and things like that. They don't tell you that, but that's the truth. For Yourself says, do really people feel mad whenever they hear about themselves in public? That's what I do for a living. For Yourself. Doesn't make me mad. I don't know exactly what you're referring to. Where are you from, by the way? You don't have to tell me specifically, but ballpark. EA says, Panama Canal. Panama Canal was ours to start with. We built it, EA, and it was one of our presidents that gave it away for $1 to people from Panama. Panama then allowed China to take over and run the canal, and we don't think that's a very good idea for national security reasons, and also because it's unfair to the Panamanians. Panamonia. It's pandemonium over there. Anyway, so we're going to take it back, and they're still going to run it. The people we gave it to, we're just going to control it. We're not actually taking it. We're just wresting control from the Chinese back from it. So, yeah, you got the wrong idea there. I'm guessing you're not from America. But we're the ones that built it, and we're the ones that owned it to start with. So, we're not stealing it, and that's not other lands. That's right down the road. Mr. P says, I just made eggs. Considering the conversation, they were excellent. Nice. Exactly. You're being shellfish. Amanda says, PC, Panama Canal was ours to begin with, EA, right? Fab Daddy says, cracking good job, Mr. P. Cracking good. Amanda says, LOL, Mr. P. And Mr. P says, I've helped several animals give birth. I think I was... Hang on. I think I was a farmer in another life. Even a cow. So you know what a cow puller is. EA says, Amanda, but also U.S. was for Indians. No. Again, you got that wrong. Yes, when we got here, there were Indians here. But they conquered this land from previous Indians. And they conquered this land from whoever was here before them. And we conquered it from them. So it was our turn. That's how conquering works. Look around. Your land where you live today was acquired the exact same way. Sorry. What should we do? Give it back? I don't think so. What it is pickle juice from the pickle is what was wrong with Uncle Eddie. All right. Mr. P says, EA, if it weren't for Indians, God would never have allowed Europeans to dominate the continent. Yeah, if it were for Indians. If God gave this land to Indians specifically, we would have never conquered it. And if you don't believe that's true, ask the, Palestinians how that's going. Fab Daddy says, I like my milk and cheese form. I like cheese too. I'm not sure we're supposed to be eating it though. But however, it is there and it is delicious and you can make it with milk. So there's that. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's how you prepare it that matters. I don't know. I personally think, and I love milk, by the way, so I'm being a hypocrite here. I'm just saying from what I've gathered from reading things that I personally think that milk is probably bad for you at a certain point in your life. But I love cheese too, so. Amanda says, we originally owned the Panama Canal and Carter sold it for $1. $1. That's not a lot of money. Trump wants it back so we can keep our military there and have unlimited access to it. Well, the unlimited access to it is a bonus. Really what we're trying to do is keep the Chinese from operating it so that they can control our trade route in and out of this country, right? Which is what they've been doing for a while. What I'm saying is there's national security reasons why Panama Canal is a target in the first place, and Greenland for that matter. But you'd have to know something about history to understand why those two places are strategically necessary for us to have control over. You'd have to understand what occurred during World War II for your understanding of Greenland. And you would have to understand what's been going on in Panama since it was given over to the Panama people to understand why Panama is necessary. And Mr. EA says, Mr. P, so you mean by force? No, he means by whatever means necessary. If it were God-given, there's nothing we could have done to take it. It would have remained the Indians. But America is a land that has always been conquered by one warring party over another. And it'll probably be conquered again at some point. Right now, it's our turn. If we can hang on to it, we'll keep it. If we can expand it, we'll expand it. Talk to Canada. They're talking about that right now, today. We're talking about expanding America. If it happens, awesome. That's what empires do. Expand until they fall. Mr. P says, EA. Hang on. Chat jumped again. This is becoming a regular thing. And Mr. P says, EA by the means which God intended. Right on. EA says, understood. All right. Fab Daddy says, I hope everyone has a great weekend. And if you could, please hit that like button. Subscribe and be part of the family. Amen, Fab Daddy. Thank you, sir. John says, set an egg sample. Set an egg sample. Yes, that's a good one. Dana says, I thought Trump was elected by the majority of the people on America first and not on controlling other countries. He's not controlling other countries. Not at all. First of all, Greenland just voted this week to become independent, which means they're voting for Trump to come in and set up shop. That's what they want. They don't want to be subjugated to that place that they're, I can't think of what it is. Norwegians? I can't remember. I don't think it's the Norwegians. Whatever that place is over there that sends all the people over to Greenland. I guess it is Norway, right? It's Norway? Denmark. That's the one. They don't want to be controlled by Denmark. They want to be independent and make lots of money. There are a lot of resources in Greenland, and they have no means of accessing it because they're subjugated. It means they don't have the money to access it. Trump offers them money. If it's American, then it has American money, and that means business goes over there. That means enterprise. That means lots of money. That means independent wealth for the people of Greenland. Trump does not want to make it American. He just wants to have it be annexed for America. So they'll still be Greenland, but they'll have American money there, and that's what they want. And they overwhelmingly voted for that this week. So that's a good thing. Canada, on the other hand, wouldn't exist without America. The only reason they're able to exist is because we protect them and that we subsidize them. If you take that away and they're on their own, it's not going to be a pretty sight. Somebody's going to conquer them almost immediately because they have no military to speak of. That being said, Panama is not another country. I mean, technically it is, but the Panama Canal, we built it. We have our hands in it from the get-go, the inception of it. It wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for us. So he's not like trying to take over England or India or Germany or some actual nation. He's dealing with things that we've been attached to for a long time already. Things that have always been an issue, just nobody had the cojones to go after. He does. But no, he doesn't. He's not trying to control other countries. What he's basically trying to do is get something for all the money we put out. Because if you'll think about the Ukraine war, for example, and his meddling in that business, well, he didn't get into that business. The Democrats got into that business, and he's left with having to deal with it. And so he come up with a solution that would give us something back for all the money that we've spent over there, which is more than anybody else has spent over there by a lot. So if not only will there be a ceasefire and the war will stop, but then we get mineral rights, so it ain't like we spend all that money for nothing. We'll actually get something out of the deal, which I think as far as deals go is a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good way to go about doing it. I don't know that it's the best way. The best way would have not been to start that mess in the first place, but it got started, and now it has to be dealt with. But that's not trying to control other countries. That's trying to put an end to bloodshed. I'm all right with that. Amanda says, pickle juice is so yummy. Gross. She'll drink it right out of the bottle, by the way. EA says, yes, true. Fab Daddy says, America first by controlling other countries. No. America first by ensuring America gets something for all the money that we put out to other countries. We have no say in what happens there. We're just getting something out of the deal. That's all. If he was trying to control other countries, why is he trying to pull out of NATO, which is about other countries? And he's also trying to pull out of the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization and the Paris Accords and all that stuff. He's not trying to control other countries. I know on the base surface of it all, without any knowledge as to what's going on, it may appear that way. But if you know what's happened already when he inherited the land, then you know he's not trying to control other countries. He's just trying to pull out of it in a way that makes sense for America. But he didn't start these problems. Amanda says, cheese is delicious. Yes, it is. I personally like pepper jack cheese. That's my favorite. I like Colby too, but pepper jack is the way to go. For Yourself says, I shouldn't tell anyone where and from where I came. I'm not asking specifically where you are. I'm just asking, where are you? Like, what country are you in? What state are you in? Not what street do you live on? I'm not asking where you're from. I'm just asking, what general area of the earth are you? And sorry, I can't tell you, sir. I don't feel about it. Don't feel about it. I know you won't feel anything, but this comment, I believe so. Well, see, that's why I'm asking you where you're from, because you're talking in an unusual way that's hard to understand. And if I knew about where you were from, I could place your syntax and make more sense of what you're saying. So I'm not asking you to tell me your address. I'm not asking you to tell me what town you live in. I'm just asking, what area are you in of the world? Fab Daddy says, my guess is Earth. Yeah, I kind of figured that one. Can we narrow it down just a little? Amanda says, what country are you from yourself? Like the USA, etc. You don't have to tell us exactly. Right, well, I'm not asking you what street you live on, again. What's your social security number? I'm not asking that. EA says, I have to sleep. It's 1:45 a.m. I hear you. That's 4 hours ahead of us. 4 hours and a few minutes. Fab Daddy says, am I right? Am I right for yourself? I doubt it. She's 14. Mr. P says, the state is fine, but okay for yourself. Right. Yeah, you can just tell me what area you're in. I'm not asking you specifically where you are. That information would be good to nobody except somebody trying to talk to you. So, John H. says, cheese gives me bad dreams. Yeah, I've heard rotten pickles will do that too. Let pickles get old in the refrigerator. That pickle juice starts going bad a little bit. They'll give you bad dreams too. Pork will give you bad dreams. If you stop eating pork right now and don't eat pork for like 10 years, no pork at all, and then you start eating pork again, you will have some of the weirdest dreams you've ever had in your life. I know because I did it. Linda says, soft cheeses are not good for you, but I'm pretty sure hard cheeses are okay. Here's what I want you to try. Go to the store and buy a pack of cheese, like America Singles, like Kraft cheese, and then go to the deli and buy a pack of real cheese, and then take them home, pull out the pack of real cheese, and take one of these torch lighters like this, and hold it up to the cheese and watch it melt, right? And then take that American cheese or whatever out of the wrapper and do the same thing to it and watch it turn black and not melt. You tell me what's in that stuff. That's not real cheese. If you read the package, it says a cheese product. I mean, cheese flavored something else. It's not cheese. So think about that next time you make a sandwich. It's worth it to go to the deli and get sliced cheese, real cheese. Fab Daddy says, I am from my mother. That's where I am from. What state did your mother live in? And for that matter, for yourself, you don't have to tell me where you're from. Just tell me what nationality you are so that I can understand your language better. And for all I know, you live in a different country than the one you were born in, so that's not the information I'm after. Dana says, Fab Daddy, let's see how long it's going to last imposing dominance over other countries. Well, it's been lasting. We've been the world-leading superpower, the world police, for the last 100 years. So I imagine it'll continue to last as long as we have money to back it up. We start running out of money, that's when the vultures are going to swoop in, and that's when America finally gets invaded for real. Right now, we got more money than anybody for the most part. So that's why we've managed to be a superpower. We've managed to spend our money wisely. Now, even if there are countries that have more money than we do, we spend it properly in the military. So we have the strongest military as far as fighting force goes, and that's why we're able to hold that dominance. I don't actually like that part of politics because I personally think we should shut the gates and focus on America and never mind the rest of the world. That's my personal opinion, but that's not what we do. So I have to comment on what the world is doing in a positive way because I am American, and it wouldn't make sense for me to not believe in what my country is doing. That would be weird. Then that would make me a traitor, and I'm not one. I am patriotic. I do have a Trump hat right there. 2 of them, actually. So my point is, if we're not going to do it the way I think we should do it, which is to close the borders, close the gates, block off international flights, and just focus on America, spend our money in America, don't worry about the rest of the world. If we can't make it here, we don't need it. Live within our means. That's what I think we should do. And then, once we build a strong empire, then start thinking about trading with the rest of the world. But right now, we got our hands in so many pies that ain't even funny, and a lot of them that most people don't even know about, like Libya and Syria and places over in that area. Most people in America don't even know we're in war over there, or that we have troops over there doing things. A lot of time, in the early 90s, most people didn't know we were in Afghanistan. We've been there for a while. So, the dominance that we hold over countries is mostly because of our military might, and secondarily because of our wealth. That, however, could change. Our deficit is very large, and most of it is owed to other people. That's a loan we can't pay back unless something really crazy happens, like taking over another country, which I don't see in the future, unless it's Canada. But I would imagine there's only 2 ways out of that scenario. One is to default on the loan and to put up our dukes and say, come take it back. And the other is to capitulate to whoever we owe it to and let them take over. And I don't see that happening. So we'll see. You might be right about that. Mr. P says, also, EA, I'm sure different countries' lines haven't stopped changing. There will be more in the future. Yeah, the map has been continuously changing for every country, and not just ours. It's politically expedient to talk about our country right now because that's what's going on. But I assure you, every country is doing the exact same thing, trying to expand, trying to get bigger, trying to get more powerful, and trying to have more control. Every country is doing that. No matter which one you're from, you're guilty of it. EA says, I agree with that, Mr. P. And Dana says, neo-colonialism in its best. Smiley face. I don't know what that word means. I know what colonialism means because the British are colonialists. America isn't so much. We fought a war to not be colonialists. So I don't know why that term is used for us now. It doesn't make sense to me. We're not out there trying to conquer the world. We're just trying to expand business-wise. Fab Daddy says, sitting back and watching, Dana. And Dana says, Fab Daddy, me too. And Mr. P says, Denmark, thank you. I couldn't think of that to save my life. And Denmark says, EA, thank you. Fab Daddy says, that means stalking the land for mineral rights. Yes. Yes, it does. And if we get those mineral rights, talking about Ukraine and Russia, if we get those mineral rights, that means that America has a vested interest in that land That means that we'll be over there doing businesses, and that means it would not be in Russia's interest to continue attacking it, which is the idea. If we're there between the two, they stop fighting. That's the idea. And also, we actually get something for the money we've spent over there, which is a lot of taxpayer money that we did not agree to sending over there. Most people didn't even know their taxpayer money was going to other countries. You ask the average American where their tax money goes, most of them will tell you schools and roads and hospitals and things like that. That ain't what their money's going for. Believe that. Look at that U.S. aid report that Doge has come out with, and you'll see where some of that money has gone. It's ridiculous. I'm ashamed to know that our country was doing some of those things. That is not part of the country that I support. That's what you should have a problem with. But I don't understand why people act like that's normal, and the things that we do that are normal, they act like that's a big deal. I don't know. Maybe I just look at it backwards. EA says, Dana, true. Mr. P says, bases, drilling, etc. Right on. Yep. That's basically what we do in all the other third world countries. I don't know why Ukraine should be any different. It's a little more sophisticated than some of the other countries, but other than that, it's the same kind of deal. I personally think NATO should stop pushing and stop trying to conscript other countries. I think that Trump's doing a good thing by pulling out of NATO. I don't know if he's actually going to do that or not, but he has threatened it. I don't see the purpose for NATO. I don't see the reason that it exists beyond 1995, you know. And it doesn't make any sense to me. If anybody here has a good explanation as to why we should have NATO and it should continue to dominate the world, somebody let me know, because I don't understand that whole thing. I understood it when it was about dismantling the USSR, but after that, it has no purpose anymore. Amanda says Trump is making business deals and solutions, right? That's the way I see it anyway. It's a whole lot better than what the last president was doing, which was nothing. Sitting on his hands and watching the world go up in flames. Fab Daddy says, we were not the first to build the Panama Canal. We just finished the project. You'd have to tell me what you mean by that. From the way I understand it, we started it, we asked for it, and we built it. Because if it weren't for the Panama Canal, we'd have to go all the way around to get our trade routes happening. And the Panama Canal cuts like 3 weeks off of that journey, or maybe even longer. So you have to be more specific than that, Fab Daddy. Just saying a thing don't make it make sense. I got to know. Dana says Greenland voted against immediate independence from Denmark and does not want to be American ever. This is the fact. That's not what I heard. I heard the exact opposite of that. So I guess it depends on which media you're listening to. I don't know because I'm not there. But according to the news, they did just vote for independence. So maybe your country's being told one thing and mine's being told another, which would lead to the answer to the problem. Everybody's confused about what's going on, which causes division. Maybe that's the idea. Who knows? Maybe it's all part of the globalist agenda, and their whole point is to start a world war so that they could all swoop in and control everything. And if that's the case, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Maybe not, but maybe. Fab Daddy says, I think it was Spain, but they got into war and couldn't afford it anymore. I'd have to look into that. That's not the way I see it. For Yourself says, message retracted. And Amanda says, yes, Fab, because the French failed to build it, so the U.S. completed it. Okay, well, that makes sense. I didn't know that. I thought we started the thing. But whoever started it, we finished it. So it's ours. And then somebody gave it away, and that wasn't a good business deal. Linda Davis says it was the French that started the canal project, but they failed. Okay. I did not know that part. John says Trump is putting America first. Britain should do the same. I agree. I think every country should put their country first. I think Putin is doing exactly what he should be doing for looking out for Russia. That's his job. I wouldn't fault him for that. And I would be able to have a conversation with him based on the fact that I understand that, because I'm putting America first if I were the president. I don't see a problem with that. But according to the media, it's the worst thing in the world for Putin to try to run his country and for us to talk to him. That doesn't make any sense to me, of course. That's what presidents are supposed to do, is talk to world leaders from other countries, people that they're opposed to. That's a good leader that can carry on a conversation with the enemy and it be peaceful. That's a good leader. I don't see the issue. For yourself says, message retracted again. Well, make up your mind for yourself. What are you going to say? Fab Daddy says, thanks. I got stoner memory. Right on. Well, you were right about the detail. You just got the minutia wrong. That's all right. I do that all the time. I'm not going to hold that against you. Just don't hold it against me when I do it. You got the detail right. That's what matters. Mr. B says, I'll tell you this much. The U.S. dumps untold amounts of resources and U.S. lives into different areas of the world. And all we ever get back out of it, out of the deal, is headaches and issues, no respect, naturally. Right. The fact that Trump is actually getting something for our money, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. I don't know why people are so upset about it. It's better than what the previous presidents have done. They didn't get anything. It's like the deal we have with Canada. Now think about this. When Canada sends their products to America, which they do a lot, we are their main export, they tariff us like 110%. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's a high number. They tariff us. So we have to pay extra money to get their goods. Yet when we send our goods to them, we don't tariff them. So they're getting our goods for free, but we have to pay for their goods, and a high number at that. Does that sound fair? Why is it wrong for Trump to say, wait a minute, this is an unfair deal and it's been going on for a long time. Now it's time we do something different because we need to be a fair part of the deal. So now we're going to tariff you for the same price that you're tariffing us. We're not even going over. We're going to do the exact same price. If it's good for you to do to us, it should be good for us to do to you. And everybody's up in arms about it. Why? That seems like a fair deal to me. The better option would be to drop tariffs on both sides. And if they drop their tariffs, we should drop ours. That would be a better deal. Let's just trade and not charge each other to do so. And that way we can make money in Canada and Canada can make money here. That's fair. That's what Trump's goal is. If you pay attention to how he operates, if you've ever heard the man speak at all, you know that he asks for something way ridiculous to get the conversation started, and then he backs down to something tangible and normal. But the big ask comes first. So if he needs $10, he'll ask for $300. And then everybody will freak out about it, but everybody's talking about it. He gets the conversation on the world stage that way. And then he'll negotiate down from $300 to $20, which is 10 more than he needed. That's a good deal maker, and he's a master at it. So why is everybody freaking out about it? Give it time. Watch and see what he's able to get done. I bet you in a year's time, everything we're complaining about now, nobody will talk about, because he will have successfully done it and made everybody look bad, and so nobody will be talking about it because they don't want to bring it up. Then they'll be on to complaining about other things. Write it down that I said so. 1 year's time. I bet that's the way it'll be. For Yourself says, whenever I heard French, I always remember Napoleon first. Right on. EA says, good night, all. Good night, EA. Thanks for dropping by. For Yourself says, good night. Mr. P says, one will melt and one won't. Cheese, right. Yeah, it not only will it not melt, it'll turn black. like you're burning something that's not cheese. Cheese ain't supposed to turn black. It's just supposed to melt. So what's in that? Well, what have we been eating? Is that safe? That American cheese ain't so American. You know what I'm saying? For Yourself says, really? Really? Mr. P says, good night for yourself. I think For Yourself was saying good night to EA. For Yourself says, thumbs up. Mr. P says, yes, really. And Amanda says, good night For Yourself. Again, I think For Yourself was saying good night to EA, who just said good night. What it is says, what about liver loaf? Do you like it? Are you talking about like souse or all I'm thinking is Worcestershire. That's not it. It's the other thing. Bratwurst. Are you talking about bratwurst or liverwurst? That kind of thing? I can eat it. It's not my favorite thing. Matter of fact, I'm not sure I like it, but I can eat it. It is edible. So if I was hungry, I'd definitely eat it, but I don't like hunger for it. It's not something I would go buy. And I think that's what you're talking about, liver loaf. John H. says, preservatives. Right on. Batshit Crazy's here. What's up, Batshit Crazy? What it is says, world peace. There will never be world peace. What it is, that's a fool's errand. The Bible backs up what I'm saying on this subject. They will cry peace, 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 but there will never be peace. As long as there's a world, it will never be in peace. So I wouldn't try for world peace. Try for intermediate peace where you're at. That's all you can hope for. What it is, but world peace will never happen, unfortunately. Amanda says, hi, batshit crazy. What it is says, I agree. Close the gates. That's right. Close the gates and roll up the windows and lock the doors, and let's just focus on what's inside the car for a little while. It ain't got to be forever. I'm not a racist or anything. Everybody's got a right to survive and live. But as far as countries go, this one desperately needs to mind its own business for a little while. And I agree with that statement. That's not what's happening. And when I talk about what's happening, that doesn't mean I agree with it. I'm just talking about it because it is happening. Amanda says, once Elon gets done, the U.S. will be all right with money. Shaking my head. Well, it'll be a lot better than it was. That's for damn sure. Because we were throwing money to some crazy stuff there for a while. For Yourself says, what happened in Europe during 1815? I have no idea. I'm not from Europe, so it's not in my interest to know that. I would imagine some kind of war. Dana says, America is broke. That's not true. 34 trillion in debt. That is true. Poverty in America grows and homelessness is becoming out of control. And so is the drug abuse. Trump should look first and foremost inside of America. That's true. The America's broke part is not true. And the reason I know that is because they can print money at will. Whatever they want, they can print it, and then we have it. So, and the tax money is more than you think it is. Now, we always hear numbers of GDP, which is the national wealth marker. It's how you know what a country's worth, the GDP. And we always hear numbers. Those numbers are nothing compared to the amount of tax dollars they take in every year, right? If you look at some of the numbers, just the stuff that Doge found, if you just go look at what Doge has uncovered in 3 weeks, and just add up the numbers that they throw out that they found being spent in other countries and know that that's money that came from this country and is no longer in this country. And then add that to the deficit, you'll find out that number is kind of faulty. There's a whole lot more money floating around in the power than we are aware of, that we could even imagine. $1 billion is a lot, and there's trillions of billions. Anyway, as far as homelessness goes, one payment that we sent over to Ukraine, $300 billion. One payment, we could have cured homelessness 3 times in this entire country 3 times over with that money. We could have done that, and we didn't. They still have that kind of money because watch and see the next crazy thing they spend billions of dollars on. Every year, it's billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars being spent. Where is all that money? Well, it's in the Fed. The Fed is neither federal nor a government business. It is privately owned, and it is part of a banking system that runs this whole world. There's 3 major things. There's the bank, there's the church, and there's the legislative branch for every country in the world. Those 3 branches of our leadership run everything. They're not always obvious, but they always run. And if you don't believe that, ask the king if he can go into London. There is a spot in London that he cannot go to unless he is called there. And that spot is where the bank is. Think about that. Now, I don't know much about their politics, and I don't know much about ownership and rights and all that, but I'm pretty sure the king can go wherever he wants to go. He can't go there, though, because he's not part of the money. He's part of the other thing. It's much the same in America. We have a government and a president who you think has all the answers and the power. He can't do anything without the Congress agreeing to it, and he can have his say, but they have to agree to it or he doesn't do it. There's that. And then after that, then we have the court system, the Supreme Court, which can knock down what the Congress says and what, they can put hampers on all things if they want to, or they can make things happen that other people disagree with. So you got like 4 branches of government inside of America. I don't know how Britain works, but that's how America works. And that is a facade also, because then above them are the money people, and we don't know their names. Those names aren't known. But trust me, they run the show. And we'll never know who they are. I forgot what my point was. Oh, the money. We are not broke. By a long shot, we're not broke. The drug problem has increased since the war on drugs began. Remember Just Say No and all that in the 80s? That's when it started to be a problem. And every decade, there's a new drug on the market. It was crack, and then it was heroin, and then it was pills, and now it's fentanyl. Go back and look at the history of it. This is a planned obsolescence. This is what is caused by the people that pull the strings. Now, why is it caused? I don't know. But I assure you, the drug problem in America could be solved post-haste if they wanted it to be solved. They don't. It serves a purpose. What that purpose is, we can argue about that, but it does serve them a purpose. We're not in the same class as they are. We get to live this lifestyle. They live out here in this lifestyle, and I mean they, meaning the elite, the upper class, the 1%. They don't live in the same world we live in. They live by different rules than we live by. The homelessness seems like a big problem, but if you go look at just California's government, just California, and look at the amount of money they've been given to stop homelessness and the amount of homelessness they've been able to stop, you'll see that there's a problem there somewhere. And then you look at the amount of money the people that work for the homelessness project, how much they make versus how much they get and how much they solve, and there's a big problem there. So what I'm trying to tell you is most of these issues are man-made issues that aren't really issues. Most of them are fronts for something else. And as long as we keep talking about this, we're not looking over here while this is going on. It's a magic trick. So no, we're not broke, and we're going to keep being America for a very long time. And it's not nowhere near as close to calamity as most people think it is. Right now, the popular thing is to say, if we don't shut down the government, we're going to run out of money and go bankrupt, and then there won't be a government. We are not that close to not being a government. Trust me. I assure you, next month, the government will still be here, and we'll still be complaining about what Chuck Schumer said last week. It's all just games. The real business is under the surface a little bit. And Amanda says, in 1815, there was a war for yourself. And Linda Davis says, agreed, Dana. Mr. P says, What time the show over tonight when I get to the bottom of the chat, Mr. P? Amanda says, neocolonialism refers to the indirect control and exploitation of less developed countries by developed nations, often through economic, political, and cultural means, even after formal independence. Like when Britain took over India and then decided to give it back, but then kept their money. I understand. Amanda says, perpetuating a form of dependency and dominance. Yes, meaning that we have the money and they have the desire to stay where they are. I understand. And Amanda says, probably soon, Mr. P. Yeah, it's getting close. I'm pretty tired, and it's 10:30 already almost. Batshit Crazy says, $1 trillion paid back 100%. $100 per second, 300 years, just $1 trillion. Yep. If you paid back $100 a second. I got you. $1 trillion is a lot more than you think it is. In order to pay that back, we would have to have more money than is possible to have, I think. So there's only one option if you really think about it, and that is either to continue the deficit or to default on it. That's really it. I don't think we can just keep staying right where we are. That doesn't make a lot of sense. John says the British government funding wars out of the taxpayers that suffer too. Yes. Yeah, the British do it. We do it. Australia does it. Germany does it, although they don't like to talk about it. Many countries, China does it. Japan probably don't have anything to do with it. I don't know. But there are many countries that are perpetuating endless wars because they make a lot of money off of war. A lot of money, a lot more than regular. In this case, it's like cancer. The treatment is more valuable than the cure. Here's an interesting thing that you may or may not know. It is a crime in the United States of America to claim to be in possession of a cure for a certain disease that affects your lungs after smoking for a long period of time. It's illegal to even talk about it. If you say that, somebody will come after you. You can't say that. Now, think about all the different health things that they sell on TV and all the false advertisement that goes on. This is healthy. This is sugar-free. This, all the things they say. Why would it be illegal to say that one thing? It is. If you think I'm wrong, go look for apricot seeds. Look for the guy that's selling apricot seeds. You won't find him because he doesn't exist anymore. He did for a little while, and then he disappeared. Or go look for the guy selling vitamin B17. You won't find that either. You'll find people talking about it, but you won't find the guy that sells it. It's illegal. Why? The cure is more valuable than the disease. Or the treatment is more valuable than the cure. By a lot. Same thing with war. Putting on wars is more valuable than winning wars. A lot more valuable. It's kind of scary to think about it that way. I don't like thinking about the world in those terms, but that's the way they think about it. Mr. P says NATO exists to maintain worldwide stability, region to region. How's that working? Mr. P says, I just have another show I watch that's on here. Loyalty lies here first, though. There's nothing wrong with that, Mr. P. You can watch anything you want. As long as you come here, too. That's all I'm asking. But, I don't know that that's the function of NATO. I know that's what they say, but I don't know that that's what they're doing. It seems to me that everywhere NATO is, there's a problem. And it's culminating in Ukraine, where they want to be and aren't. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I personally think we shouldn't have anything to do with all that. I don't think it's in our interest to know what's happening in other countries. I think we should worry about this one. That's my personal opinion. That is not what our country is doing, but that is my personal opinion. Amanda says, it's all good, Mr. P. Thanks for your loyalty. Absolutely. And we love you too. Patty says, I'm lost in all this. I just can't anymore. I understand. And Mr. P says, ne'er the twain shall meet. Right on. And Mr. P says, always, Amanda. Thumbs up. Patty says, Kenites have their tentacles in everything. So true. So true. Miss P says, the French failed miserably at the canal. They barely did any of it at all. Lost thousands of lives and to malaria, etc. Yes. Yes, and I think we lost quite a lot, too. In fact, I think that was a known thing, which is why they paid them so well to go over there. If you accepted that job, you knew you were taking a risk of not coming back, I think. That seems to be what I've read. And Dana says, Denmark media, Czech media, all Europe's media, and the referendum in Greenland speaks for itself. Almost 100% voted not to be part of the U.S. ever. That's a fact. Well, okay. We'll see how that turns out. I only know what I heard. Like I said, I don't have any firsthand knowledge of what's going on over there, so I can't argue it. That's just what the news reports here. For yourself, did French ever come to India? Probably. The French owned land in America for a while, so I would imagine they probably did. They were quite prolific in their days, too. Mr. P says, does that excite you, Dana? Question mark. Kind of sounds like it, don't it? Mr. P says, anything against the U.S. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work out that way, but we'll see. Aaron says, smiley face, what's up, Aaron? Good to see you, buddy. How them dogs? Amanda says, hi, Aaron. Aaron says, hey. And Dana says, yes, it does, because all nations should be sovereign and independent. Seek economical independency, engage in trades with your neighbors, and live in peace, Mr. P. Except for they don't have the ability to be independent or sovereign. They are under the foot of Denmark currently. And they don't have the money to access all of the resources that are at their feet, which is why Trump wants to go in there, so that he can bring business to them. That's the whole point, is so that they can become sovereign. So I think it's different countries view the same thing different ways, I think. And Patty says, government cheese. Right on. I bet that's real cheese, huh? Amanda says, Trump will turn this country around so much in a year if they can keep him alive. I agree. I got you, Dana. I read it the way you meant it. I think I did anyway. Mr. P says, I feel the same way. There's always a power at the top, though. Would you rather it were China or Russia? Well, I don't know who it is. I know who they work for. I know ultimately it's the devil that's running all these things. It's always negative power that's at the top. But you're absolutely right in that statement that there's always somebody at the top. And we don't know their names. Those are not people we understand or even know exist. I assure you, those things are scarier. Dana says, this is what God teaches. There is no peace with the wicked. Right on. And Patty says, Dana, you make me smile. Aw. And Mr. P says, Patty, so you're against the U.S. or you're simply against me? I wonder what caused that. I don't think she meant it that way. I think she was making a statement on the craziness of everything that's going on in the world. I don't think she said she was against the U.S. I think she said, I can't deal with it. There's too much craziness going on. But I didn't see anywhere where she said anything about you. She did say government cheese. Nope, I don't see anything. I might be wrong, but I don't think that was what she was getting at. Dana says, this is also what God teaches. Blessed be the peacemaker, not the warmonger. Well, there's a reason for that. There aren't too many peacemakers. There's a lot of warmongers. Matter of fact, if you read the context of the Bible, it's that there will always be war. There will never be peace, ever, until Jesus returns and instills peace. That means that the peacemakers of the earth are few and far between, but they're not able to stop all of the warring. So the only way I can read that, my inference from that would be that peacemakers have peace in small localized areas. But as far as the world stage goes, they're not able to affect that. So you can have peace in small regions. Certain groups of people, certain communities can find peace within themselves. But as far as the world at large, it's never going to happen. That's kind of scary to think about it, but that's the way I read it. Dana says, Patty Donahue, smiley face and rose. And Mr. P says, nobody is warmongering except Putin. That's incorrect. He invaded Ukraine. That is it. Why is it that the U.S. is so sour in your eyes? Too much left TV. Are you talking to me? The U.S. isn't sour in my eyes, and Putin is not the only warmonger on the planet. China's doing a fair bit of it themselves. So is the people down in Afghanistan and all those different little countries down there, and it's all over the place. We're just focused on Russia right now because that's what our media talks about most of the time. I assure you, though, it's happening everywhere. And Mr. P, Patty says, Mr. P, I'm sorry, buddy, but you weren't even in my mind. I told you she didn't mean it that way. Mr. P says, consider that the same in reverse then, Patty. Sounds like you're trying to pick a fight with something that ain't there, Mr. P. She didn't say anything about you. What are you talking about? I think you might have got offended about something that wasn't intended to have been said. Hate your own if you want. Makes you a pleb in my mind, says Mr. P. Nobody's talking about hating anybody. And Danny says, Mr. P, do you have a problem? Why do you attack Patty and me? Why do you attack a person instead of the argument? Do you think it is an intelligent thing to do? That's a good question. I've seen this happen a couple of times, especially when the word Ukraine is mentioned, like it's a trigger word or something. First of all, none of us have anything invested in Ukraine. None of us give a damn about Ukraine beyond the fact that it's on the news. So why is it a point of contention in this chat? I don't know. We need to solve that problem immediately. And second of all, Patty didn't say anything bad towards you or anybody else. She was making a reference to the wickedness of the world. And she said, I can't even. I'm so done with all of it. She wasn't talking about hating on U.S. She didn't say anything anti-American. I think you might have misread that, so I'll keep reading to see if that resolves itself. But otherwise, I would ask you to take a step back, take a breath, and reanalyze your feelings, because I'm thinking they're going in the wrong places. And Dana did nothing wrong either. She disagrees with me on some things, but what we're disagreeing about is what the news has said. Neither one of us have any personal knowledge of what's going on in those situations. We're just discussing it. And discussions often go in I agree or I disagree directions. That's okay. That's what we're doing here. It's fine. There's no reason to get upset, and there's absolutely no reason to attack anybody. And Patty says, identity politics is what I was talking about. And Patty says, Dana, I want peace, but I know only with our Father will there be peace. Right. Only when Christ returns will peace actually occur. You can have peace in little regions, like I said earlier, But as far as the world stage goes, there will never be peace, ever. And Mr. P says, Dana, because you get worked up over everything against the U.S. I noticed this for a while now. Oh, well, she is in the Czech Republic, and they are not keen in our direction as part of the world goes. It could be that that's just the way they're taught to think over there. We, being in America, are America all the way. We're gung-ho and believe what we believe from our perspective, which I could understand why that would rub somebody on the other side of the world the wrong way. But we are having a conversation in good faith, which means whichever way we look at it, we're able to talk about it and still remain friends, which is the first step to peace, is being able to get along with your neighbor. So that's not a wrong thing. But I understand what you're saying, too. Just remember that we are Americans, so we take it personally towards America. She is not American, which means she probably takes it personally towards wherever she's from. Either way, we're on the same team spiritually. So whatever politically is wrong, like me and Fab Daddy are on opposite sides of the world and can be friends because we set politics on one side and friendship on the other side and don't let the two rub against each other. I hope that helps. Mr. P says, I'm an American, so you're against me then. No, this is not a personal conversation. I think this is a global conversation. We're talking about nations, not people. Obviously, if you got two people, doesn't matter where they're from, they're going to care for each other if they're in a bad situation. If you and Dana were in the same room together, I'm sure you'd be great friends. We're not talking about people. We're talking about nations, and that's a completely different mindset. Dana says, Patty, bingo. John says, Parliament, they control the king. He hasn't power. See? That's my point. Yet he's called the king, and he's on the money. Or whoever is on the money. But he doesn't actually have the power. Patty says, Dana is so beloved, Mr. P. She is that. Patty says, our pandemic is drug use. Yeah, but it was an intentional pandemic. That's my point. Those things didn't have to happen. Fentanyl just didn't appear out of nowhere because somebody decided to bring some over here and then it just got out of control. That's not how that happened. I assure you, there was a campaign behind it. It was pushed in certain areas. That's why it's in everything. If it was organic, if the Chinese were just selling fentanyl to whoever could buy it and it ended up coming into America, it would not be in everything. It's in everything. There's people taking pills that they got from the doctor and falling over from fentanyl abuse because they didn't know they were taking it. They thought they were taking something that the doctor gave them, and yet it had fentanyl in it. That's my point. It's definitely somebody did that for a reason. I don't know what the reason is. That's playing outside of my purview. That's a game I don't understand, but I understand that it is a game. And also just look at the decades. It went from pot to crack to heroin to pills to fentanyl. Just like that. Never the same thing. It's always every decade it's something different. It actually went from alcohol to pot to LSD back to pot. Somewhere in that area. Alcohol to LSD to pot to crack cocaine to, on down the line. Just look at it. Look at it from a decade perspective, and you'll see the game starting to be played. And it also hits different cultures every time it hits. The crack cocaine was all about the black culture. Pills were all about the Midwestern culture. Fentanyl is all about the border culture. It's really weird. And that's just an observation. There's no fact in that. That's just me pointing out things that happened the way they happened. Amanda says, I'm going to pull you guys in a Get Along t-shirt. Mr. P says, no need. I know who my friends are, Amanda. Patty says, pandemics are when dead on the street. I agree. Yeah, we don't have that. We never have had that. It was a wrong use of the word. Aaron says, I'll say, oh, no, 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 LOL, on the Get Along t-shirt. That's a good Get Along t-shirt. Mr. P says, I also know who they are not. I got you. Amanda says, LOL, that part, Aaron. Dana says, if you are taking things personally, you are dealing with your own problems. I nor near Patty have anything to do with that. Mr. P, it is not about pro-America nor against America. Amanda says, Aaron, sorry, typing too fast. Aaron says, all good, I got the point. And Patty says, Dana, thank you. And John says, at the moment, Britain giving countries back, Jamaica and others now. Yeah, they've been doing that for a while. It's like they dominated and then they felt really bad about it, so they give it back. By the way, we have this new thing called the Bank of Britain. I see you have some money over there. We'll give you the country back. It's yours. Yeah, but you got no place to put all that money. How about we keep it for you? It's just still your money. We'll just hang on to it. Yeah, I know how that goes. The Bank of England, or whatever it is. I think it's the Bank of England, right? I don't remember which one it is. Mr. P says, so I'm having a discussion with you about your beliefs, Dana. Patty chose that time to worship you. I know what's happening before my eyes. Enough said. I don't think anybody's worshiping anybody other than God. And I'm sorry that this is a fight. It shouldn't be. This is a conversation about touchy subject. I understand that, but we all should be above that. We, as a community, are trying to understand what's happening in the world, and the only way we can do that is by discussing it. Linda says, I thought she meant broken. As I see it, all these deals are to eventually stimulate and bring America back to what it once was. Right on. Broke in, not broke. I got you. America is definitely broken, but it ain't broke. We got lots of money. We just ain't got, us poor people don't have access to it. Danny says, Patty, you bet, dear. Heart exclamation point. Mr. P says, anti-American, period. Well, I'm pretty firm in who I am, so I'm 100% American. Patty says, I do not know anyone who is anti-American. John says, NATO is a con. I think it is too, John. I don't know if it's a con. I think it's a con, but I know for certain that it's not in our best interest. It's definitely taking advantage. Mr. P says, when you get excited about anything and everything that's against the U.S., that's anti-American. Well, people are understanding things in different ways, John. It's understandable. They're in a different country. They're fed different lines than we're fed all the way around. I would imagine there's a lot of things that we don't see eye to eye on because of where we are. That's why more speech is necessary, not stopping speech, more speech. If someone is anti-American and they hate America, I want to know about it. I don't want them to hide it. So let them talk about it. If they are anti-American, they'll eventually hang themselves because we're doing pretty good as far as the world goes. Mr. P said, I said all I needed to say. Thank y'all. Much love. I hear you, Mr. P. John says, the French owned parts of Africa as well. Yeah, they had a big swath of America for a long time. That's what the Louisiana Purchase was all about. We bought that strip of America from the French to fund a war. The money that we spent on it funded a war. Mr. P says, yes, John, most countries did. Small satellite countries get nervous when expansionist powers could take them over at any minute, and that's why some people get nervous when they aren't in control. True. Mr. P said, Jake, we're the warmongers Dana's speaking of. Oh, I know. But every country is guilty of that, not just America. There are a faction of Americans that are, in fact, warmongers. They're called neocons here, but that means the same thing. And she's not wrong about that. That being said, every country is engaged in that into some form because there's a lot of money being made from war. We as people, as citizens of America, don't want war. If you go poll America, if you go and ask every person on the street that you come across the whole United States, most of them will say no war. We don't want any war. Yet, somehow our government keeps taking it upon themselves to get involved in those wars. That, by definition, is warmongering. That being said, it is in our interest as citizens also to make sure we're on top of that war if we happen to get involved in it. That was not the case for Vietnam or Desert Storm. That was not the case for any of these. These are all wars that we did not particularly win, that we should not have been involved in, but we were. So I don't blame her for seeing it that way. However, our job as Americans is to set an example for the rest of the world. If we have people here from other parts of the world, it is in our interest to show them that not all of us are warmongers and that there can be peace and friendship between us because we're not all that different. Our governments are in it for the money. Our citizens are not. And Dana says the peacemakers are blessed by God. Yes, they are. There just ain't a lot of them. For yourself retracts a message. Mr. P says, I know what I saw, and I didn't attack anyone. Okay, nobody's blaming you for any of that. Just ask a question, that's all. For yourself says, ghost, do you guys believe in ghosts? No. No such thing as a ghost for yourself. When you die, your spirit goes instantly back to the Father who gave it, period. There is no such thing as ghosts. That being said, there are evil spirits and evil forces working on all parts of the world, and good forces pushing and pulling all over the world at all times. But they're not ghosts. Amanda says, no such thing for yourself. For yourself says, my brother always scares me. Don't let him. You stand up with confidence and tell him there's no such thing as ghosts. Whatever you're saying, it ain't a ghost. And then explain it to him. When you die, your spirit goes back to the Father who gave it. It's not here to haunt anybody. If you're being haunted by something, it's not a ghost. It's the devil. And Amanda says, well, that's your brother, not a ghost. Right on. Unless, of course, your brother's dead. John H. says, there's too much money and power for peace to happen. Right. As long as as the moment somebody drew a line on the ground, there's been war. From that very moment, the moment somebody decided to say this part of the world is mine, there was somebody else that wanted it. And from that moment till now, there has been battles, and there will always be battles. Somebody's always going to be vying for the power of the money, or the power of the land, or the power of the army, or whatever it is that has the power. Somebody's going to want it. There will never be a time when everybody just says, okay, it's time to live in harmony. It's just not going to happen. Too many hotheads in the world for that to happen. Amanda says, right, John, too many people are on a power trip. Right on. For yourself says, there are some power-hungry people in the world because then we can't make peace. Right. Too many power-hungry people to make peace. That's right. Mr. P says, it is what it is. When the curtains come down in the final act, I'll know I've tried my best to do some good in Christ's name while here. That's it. That's all you can do. Patty says, the queen always carries the black purse that represents that she controls the money. Just my opinion. For yourself says, Mr. P, if God exists, then ghosts also exist, right? Incorrect. God is not a ghost. And neither are spirits. There's no such thing as ghosts. That's a myth made up by people trying to explain what the Bible told you all along is the truth. Science has a funny way of trying to explain away what God said happened. And they do it with anything but God. But it's not true just because somebody said it. And Dana says, I love the common folks in America and in Europe and in Russia and everywhere else, yet I criticize the governments in each for their delusional foreign politics, period. If anyone takes this personally, well, Mr. P says, I know plenty of good people just like myself living here in the U.S., and no, absolutely not for yourself. No ghosts. Amanda says, no ghosts exist, but God definitely exists. Right on. And Dana says, then it is very silly and childish. Mr. P, not very smart. I have no beef with you personally, yet you found a way to have beef with me. I liked it better when you guys were flirting. Mr. P says, you're confusing spirits with ghosts, talking to yourself. Yes, a spirit is what runs this body, and this body is just a clay pot. It's a vessel. And when this vessel breaks, that spirit returns back to where it came from immediately. It does not linger. It does not stay here on earth. There's nowhere for it to go. It has to go back to where it came from because it no longer has a body to sustain itself. Now, there are evil spirits in this world that are not of the body. And there's about 200 of them by my estimation. That's a guess. I don't know for sure. Could be way more than that. I don't know. But as far as I can tell by reading the Bible, there's probably about 200 evil spirits roaming around in the world. And those evil spirits do cause things to happen in the world, both negative, and then there's good spirits called angels that cause positive things to happen. That being said, there's no such thing as ghosts. If you see your aunt, long dead aunt, you're not looking at her. You're looking at something pretending to be her. I hope that helps. That's as best as I can make it for you. Mr. P says, well, you put up a smiley emoji at the end of your claim of the Greenland vote, so maybe I misread it. And Amanda says, for yourself, if God didn't exist, then nothing in the world would exist. Right on. And just ask yourself, I'll make it real simple for you. Either God created everything or he didn't. All right? Either God exists or he does not. And there are lots of arguments are going to cause this to cause you to question God. The whole world is involved in this argument. Now, let me make it easy for you. If God exists, then what he said is true, right? And what he said was he created the world and everything in it. And on the sixth day, he created man. But on the third and fourth day, he created everything else. Okay? One of those days, he created fowl, which are birds. So let me ask you a question. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? And if evolution is true and God is a lie, then we evolved from something, right? Well, chickens lay eggs. That's how they make other chickens. Can you give me the example anywhere in the world's history of what an egg evolved from? Because there is no mechanism nor material by which an egg can evolve. Yet you have to have an egg before you can have a chicken. So that means that what came first was a chicken, fully grown and ready to lay an egg. You understand? That means God's true. Dana just hit me with a $100 super chat. God bless you, Dana. Thank you very much. She says, peace for all. Amen. Thank you for that. And John H. hits me with £5 and says, love you all, everyone. Heart, heart. Thank you, John. God bless you. Keep it rocking. I appreciate it very much. Oh, that's a good one. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, John. Mr. P says it's a weird place to put up a smiley emoji. I hear you, buddy. It's all right, though. I can handle it. Mr. P says, perhaps I misread the whole thing. The emojis have meanings. I read that it was against our country and then a joke as to make light of it. I didn't see it that way. I think that they have a different narrative where they're at, where Dana's at, than we have here. I think that may be the case because what I heard on the news was that they just voted in favor of independence, which would mean they're voting in favor of America coming over there and doing business, which would mean in the near future that's what's going to happen. So, regardless of who's getting the news correctly, which we all understand that the news is lying to us, so whichever one of us is getting the right information, what will tell the tale is if we eventually go over there in the very near future and start doing business. And that you'll know that they did, in fact, vote for that to happen because they do have a vote. They are a voting country. So if it happens, it's because they want it to. We're not taking over Greenland. We're not going over there with the military and attacking them. We're working in a business capacity. So if Trump goes over there and things start happening, then you know for a fact that they voted on it and they agreed for it to happen that way. And the other narrative that I got prior to that was that they did not want to be subordinate to Denmark anymore, that they wanted to open up for business. That was what was being said. If that's the case, that's what Trump is offering them. So we'll see. We might all have that wrong. Who knows? For Yourself says, wouldn't that mean like we have been created by a computer? Something like we are AI and have been questioning my self-reality of our world. No, sir. No, ma'am. AI is a man-made entity. It is not actually it's not actually intelligent. It's artificial, but it is not actually intelligent. It's faking intelligence. It will never be more than that, I promise you. The idea that fantasy gives us is that one day we'll have people walking around that have AI brains. That's not true. That's not ever going to happen. Only God can create life. That being said, I don't know by what mechanism God created us. It very well could have been a computer program, but that's far beyond my pay grade to even speculate upon. But whether he used a computer or his mind, he did it. God created this universe and everything in it. And I just answered you with the chicken thing. That should give you the answer. There is no more definitive statement than which came first, the chicken or the egg. One of which means one thing and the other of which means the other thing. If Darwin was right, the egg came first. Explain to me how that happened. Show me evidence that an egg evolved from anything, and then I'll believe you. If you can't, and you know that's a silly statement because an egg can't evolve because it comes from a chicken. A chicken is the only thing that can make an egg. So the chicken had to come first, which means God's true because he said he created the chicken first. I hope that helps. Dakota says, hey, Dana. And it's good for you to question reality for yourself. There's a whole bunch of it out there for you to question. Let me know how you fall on that when you finally get to the end of that thought process. John says, good healthy debate, it's nice. Exactly. A good debate is nice because that's how people learn. Amanda says, know for yourself. God was a living man who died and then rose again. He is real. Yes, Christ is. Yes. And For Yourself says, oh, Mr. P says, so I guess I'm not very smart then, Dana. All right, let's pick a battle. Patty says, Jake, I watched Roseanne Barr. She knows about those Kenites. Talked about them too. Right on. A lot of people do when they're in the know. Roseanne Barr's a smart lady. I don't particularly like her very much, but she is smart. Amanda says, I don't like her, Patty. Well, you don't have to like her for her to be right. John H. says, I'm going to say good night, everyone. Love one another and bless you all. See you tomorrow night, everyone. John, God bless you. Thank you for the super chat. 5 hearts back at you, sir. Amanda says, good night, John. Linda Davis says, Mr. P, you are very intelligent, says Linda. It's just hard to read subtext. That is why texting can cause many marital arguments, right? It's very hard. It's even hard for me, and I do it professionally. And sometimes you just miss the subtext. Sometimes you miss the sarcasm. Sometimes you miss the inflection. It's just that's the nature of texting. We all need to have a guard against that so that we don't jump the gun and overact like I often do. Mr. P says, I'm pretty sure Roseanne's own mama didn't like her, right? Patty says, I think she knows a lot about what's going on. I think she does too. And I think she learned it, much like I did, by way of the disillusionment of what she thought was going on, and then reality smacking her in the face when it turned out to not be that way. And I think that caused her to go down rabbit holes and find out what was going on, which will happen to all of us if we're being honest with ourselves. Amanda says, LOL, Mr. P, right? And Patty says, she knows. Void Adventures, long time no see. How you doing, Void? Void says, the only way that a ghost is possible is if they're too bad for hell and the devil doesn't even want the spirit either. But isn't that what purgatory is for? Void Adventures, heaven. No, and I want you to think about that for a minute. The devil, Satan, Lucifer, that old dragon, the serpent, is the adversary. That is his role in all of this. He is the yang to the yin, or the yin to the yang, one or the other. He is the darkness that gives light the purpose. Without the darkness, light has no value. So if that's true, then the bad is what he's after. The bad is what he wants. The bad is what he is trying to cause. So how is it possible then for someone to be too bad for the devil to want? Hell don't want them and heaven won't take them. That's an old saying. That's not truth. Truth is bad goes to Satan and good goes to God. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's and unto God what is God's. Render unto Satan what is Satan's and unto God what is God's. Same statement. Now, number 2 is purgatory is a Catholic creation that is not biblical in nature. We have in the Bible what is referred to as Abraham's bosom, which is the muse for purgatory. That's where the Catholics got it from, Abraham's bosom, which is a place where spirits go to wait for Judgment Day. There's a good side and a bad side, and they can see each other, but they're far enough apart that they can't communicate or even touch. So they're in the same place, but they're separated by a gulf, meaning there's a chasm between the two, and they can't go from one side to the other. That went away when Christ died, because while he was gone for 3 days, like Jonas, he was in the belly of the earth for 3 days. Like Jonas being in the belly of the whale for 3 days, Christ was in the belly of the earth, which tells you the location of Abraham's bosom in the earth. It's physically on this planet. And while he was there, he gave all the souls that were there the same opportunity that his death gave the rest of us. And he emptied that place out, thereby defeating death, which is a thing in the prophecy that promised he would defeat death. That's the definition of defeating death. He released death's prisoners. So all those souls went to the Father who gave them, and now when you die, your soul goes straight to the Father who gave it, not to purgatory or to Abraham's bosom or to hell, which is all based on the same place. Or Valhalla, or Stovacor, or whatever Klingon you are. So no, spirits do not go to purgatory, and there is no such thing as something that's too bad for the devil. And all spirits, whether they're good or bad, go to the Father, not to the devil. That's at Judgment Day. They will be judged with the devil and cast into the lake of fire with the devil. That's where they go, nowhere else. When you live here, you go to heaven. You start in heaven, you're born here, you go back to heaven. Where's heaven? Heaven is like Air Force One. Wherever God is, that's where heaven is. Amanda says, hi, Void. Long time no see. Mr. P says, I apologize if I misread. I still think the U.S., more than any other country, is more a force for good than bad. Ulterior motives aside. I agree with that. An apology accepted on my part. Void says, hi. Patty says, she knows about those cats in control in the money world and what they can do to you and your life. Right on. Mr. P says, so in my eyes, I've got to question anyone against our people. I hear you. I don't think anyone is against our people. Batshit Crazy says, zero real evidence of afterlife versus proving a negative. You got to be more specific than that, Batshit Crazy. And there's plenty of evidence of an afterlife. And there's plenty of evidence of a previous life. I don't know what you're talking about, but trust me, there's lots of evidence out there. Just because our current academic scientists don't agree with that statement does not make it not true. Let me remind you that they used to all agree that the Earth was the center of the universe and that we went around, that the sun went around us until Galileo come along, or Copernicus, whoever it was, whichever one it was. And then they argued with him for quite a while and put him in jail. And then eventually had to capitulate because then they got telescopes and discovered he was right. So just because the mob says something is true does not make it true. Remember that the mob thought Mr. Mustache was in the right for a little while. Didn't work out that way, though. And it ain't going to work out the other way for no evidence for afterlife. When you die, you'll see all the evidence you want. Linda says, I agree, Mr. P. When I visited Sicily, I had to explain, or rather correct, a lot of things that they were taught about America. Right. In every country, they got their own idea of what's going on, and it may not be compatible with our idea of what's going on. That's just how conversations have to start and have to go to learn what's actually going on. Everybody's fed a narrative, though. Void says, believe what you may, batshit crazy. Well, that's why I'm here, to assuage that belief. And I think I have enough strength to do that. So I'm willing to take that debate on with half my brain tied behind my back and one eye closed. And I think I can do a pretty good job at it. So Amanda says, wow, Dana. Amen. Thank you so much. We love you. Batshit Crazy says, Dana for Treasury Secretary. Amen to that. At least Treasury, she could be the Treasury Secretary of Untethered Live. Secretary of Treasury. That's right. Void says, the chicken came first. Absolutely correct. Which means Darwin was wrong. That's the only way to see it. Mr. P says, Linda, when my cousin had a foreign exchange student from Brussels, they taught him there that all sorts of nasty things. Right. So you understand what I'm saying. Void Adventure says, God came before the chicken, therefore his is the egg of life. Right on. Amanda says, thanks, John. We love you too. Heart. Amen. And thank you. Mr. P says, thanks, Dana, for supporting the show. And thanks, John, for supporting the show. Amen. Dana says, batshit crazy. LOL. Smiley face thumbs up. Linda says, we had one from Belgium and one from Spain, and it was the same with them, Mr. P. They get taught all kinds of things that aren't true. And they believe it as much as we believe what we believe here. So sometimes conversations can be a little edgy, but the adults have the conversation because that's what exchange of ideas causes us to be more enlightened and causes us to understand each other without all of the narratives, which is a big thing that this community is doing, is bridging the gap between different cultures. It's done in small increments, but it's being done. And hopefully in the future, it'll be many, many, many more people from other countries coming here, and we can assuage their thoughts too. or agree with them if they're right. They can teach us as much as we can teach them. We're not the end-all, be-all of knowledge, but we try. Mr. P says sometimes different languages being a person's first language confuses context. Sometimes you don't put a smiley face at the end here on something against the U.S. and not expect someone to take it very wrong. Well, it depends. If the smiley face is intended as a gesture of whatever, I'm not trying to be all serious, but this is what I think, then yeah, I can see that. Am I wrong in thinking that much is true, Amanda? Well, Amanda says, I understand your previous comment, Mr. P. In other words, yes, that is true, but our job as Christians is to have an open policy. That means that if someone thinks something differently than us, which would always be the case because we're always facing people that don't believe what we believe, then we have to be able to talk to them in a rational way that causes them to begin to believe what we believe, which is called an indoctrination of sorts. It's called conversion in our business, but it's still indoctrination. Don't fool anybody. But that also goes for every other thing that we have to do as Christians. Being in life, we have to be able to talk to people that believe things or see the world in a different way than we do. Dana is not wrong. She just sees it from her perspective. I'm not wrong. I just see it from my perspective. Sometimes those can be very different. But us as friends, first, we have to bridge that gap and come to a consensus somewhere in the middle. And the answer to that is, we'll see what happens. And what happens will tell the tale of what the truth of the narrative is. What happens is, if Trump goes over there and starts building Trump hotels and drilling for whatever natural resources they have, then you'll know that what we were told was correct and what she was told was incorrect. And if he doesn't, then we'll know what she was told was correct and what we were told were incorrect. The business, the picking is the proof of the some were born to listen and some were born to play. Proof is in the picking. You know what I'm saying? So we'll have to reserve that conversation to wait and see what actually happens. Just like the Panama Canal thing. That seems like a good idea to me. We'll have to wait and see what happens, though. Right now, China is controlling it, and it has been for a long time. If Trump is serious about what he's trying to do, pretty soon Americans will be controlling it, or at least the Panama people will be controlling it. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But to make no mistake about it, everybody in the world is being told something different from their perspective. That's how narratives work. Void says, if God isn't real, the egg came first. But what laid the egg? The animals that laid the egg still had to come from an egg. Therefore, God, or whatever you believe in, is real. Right. That's the chicken and egg thing is way more deceptively complex than it sounds on the surface. Sounds like a child question. You ask a child, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And he goes, oh, I don't know, blow my mind. But if you really think about that statement, it proves the existence of God, because the only thing that could have came first would be the chicken. Same thing with a seed. What came first, the seed or the tree? Well, trees make seeds, so the seed couldn't have come first. And there's also no way in evolution to prove how a seed comes into existence spontaneously, because it's not a living thing in and of itself. It contains a living thing, but a seed is just that, a seed. It doesn't do anything but create the thing that's inside it, a copy of it. And it has to have that copy from a previous tree. That's what a seed is. It's a copy of the previous tree. So, all trees are related is what I'm trying to tell you. And Dana says, hey, Dakota Wright. Thumbs up, smiley face. Void says, said hi. And Amanda says, purgatory is a state of purification or suffering after death that some believe souls go through before entering heaven. The term is used in Roman, Catholic, or medieval Christian beliefs. Catholic beliefs, not Christian. That word is conflated all the time, In fact, if you ask any Catholic today, they'll tell you they're Christians. No, Catholics are not Christians. They're Catholics. That's a different religion. Don't believe me? Go look at what they say and then read the Bible and you'll see the difference. Mr. P says, can't buy your way into heaven. Tried to hang in. Good night, all. I hear you, Mr. P. You can't buy your way into heaven. That's a fact. You can't buy God. You can't buy grace. You can't buy forgiveness. And you can't buy a seat in heaven. But you can support a church. You can do that. Amanda says, good night, Mr. P. And Linda says, good night, Mr. P. And Patty says, Ecclesiastes 12:7. Right on. Amanda says, Ecclesiastes 12:7, then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. Amen. That's what happens when you die. The flesh turns to dust. The spirit goes to God. Amanda said, hi. For Yourself says, my best friend said the most inspired speech. After that, I never saw him. He remembered once. He said, remember, once we leave our bodies, don't worry, you're doing things always. Remember, by his love, once and his friends. That made no sense at all. I have no idea what he just said to you. My best friend said the most inspiring speech I've ever heard, and after that I never saw him again. Meaning he died? Right. And what he said was, remember, once we leave our body, don't worry, you're doing things always. Remember, by his love, once, and his friends. By his loved ones and his friends. People are remembered by their loved ones and friends. Yes. And don't worry, when you die, your spirit leaves the body and continues living. That's correct. I think that's what you meant by that. And Aaron says, ooh. Patty says, message retracted. Dana says, LOL, Jake. I like when you say the mustache man. Mean Mr. Mustache? Yeah. Yeah, I don't like people saying I'm bringing up that guy. The old mustache man. And Amanda says, LOL, Dana. And Dana says, it's like the 1999. I like 100 better. 1999 is good, though. I'll take it. Dana says, of course, the chicken came first. That's right. And Amanda says, it would be cool if we had a voice chat and could say our comments and everyone could hear it. That would solve much of this. I think that might be possible. I'll look into that. And Amanda says, if a rooster lays an egg on top of an A-frame, which way does the egg roll? Well, it depends on whether or not you're a moron. If it's a moron answering that question, he might say left or right. But a person with a little bit of intellect and a little spark of genius in their eye would say, roosters don't lay eggs. Chickens do. Dana says, yes, Jake, the adults have an intelligent conversation without getting upset. This is the art of diplomacy, and it takes you beyond the weak and unstable. Things get solved peacefully. Amen, sister. I agree with you. I understand that 100%. And Dana says, it also requires to be a good listener, and that is a key. Yes, it is key. And Patty says, sit with the winners. Their conversation is different. Always. Winners write history. That's how you get history books. It's always slanted in that direction. And there's never been a history written that somebody on the other side of that didn't say, hey, wait a minute, that's not what happened at all. That's just the nature of life. And Monkey Juice is here. Hey, Monkey Juice, he says, nobody's spirit has ever came back to tell you that. One did. You're incorrect. I have historical document that proves otherwise, Monkey Juice. One spirit absolutely came back to tell us that. And that's exactly what he did when he came back. He told us that. So that is correct. What do you have that proves otherwise? I can show you a 4,000-year-old document that states the existence of that spirit going to happen 2,000 years later, and I can show you a 2,000-year-old document that says it happened when the 4,000-year-old document said it would happen. So, and I can show you a 2-day-old document that says that that is correct. All of those documents. So, yeah, I do have proof. Sorry. Amanda says, hi, Monkey. And Monkey says, hi, Amanda, and I apologize. No problem. And Amanda says, what are you apologizing for, Monkey? And Dakota says, hey, Linda. Patty says, hey, man, Jake. And For Yourself says, 400 years old? What do you get that? Where did you get that? 4,000 years old, you mean? The Genesis, the prophets. That's a 4,000-year-old document. Job is about 4,200 years old, somewhere in that range. It's the oldest book we know of. I am referring to the Bible, of course, and it spans generations. That book was not all written at one time. It was written by no less than 66 different authors over a span of about 4,000 years, by people that never met each other, that never thought anyone would ever read what they were writing beyond the person they were writing it to, people that did not belong to the same religion or cult or group, people that had no common line between each other, save for the fact they were all part of the same family, the same bloodline over time. And yet, all 66 books of the Bible refer to all other 66 books in the Bible, and it is a through-line story from start to finish, as if it was written by one author. It makes sense all the way through. It is a complete story, and it tells the history of the world, and it is accurate to the letter. Many, many hammers have been worn out on the anvil that is the Bible, trying to prove it wrong, and it hasn't happened yet, and they're still trying to this day. That's proof that it hasn't happened yet. So go read it. It's worth your knowledge. If it is true, it is the most important thing for your brain to know in the history of the world, if it's true. If it's not true, then you haven't wasted anything but a little bit of time. It takes about a year to earnestly read the Bible all the way through and understand it. Or you could just come here on Sunday and Monday at 8:30 and 8 o'clock on Sunday, and I'll read it for you. All you have to do is listen and then think afterwards. That's it. Amanda says, Genesis, a book in the Bible. That's right. Amanda says, it's from Genesis, which is a book in the Bible. For Yourself. Correct. Linda Davis says, hey, Dakota, heart. And For Yourself says, my brother has 1,345 photos full of memes. Cool. Memes are awesome. Are you saying your brother's a meme lord? I wish I had time and energy to be a meme lord. I'd be an awesome one, but I just don't have the energy to put them together. I got the mind for it. I just don't have the time or the energy. So I just let other people do the memes, and I just laugh at them. All right, it is 11:25, and I'm tired. I got to go to bed. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for some politics, where we can get in a heated debate about politics. Yay! Which seems to be bleeding over into my other chill streams. Hey, that's what's going on, so we'll do it. I love you all. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I love you all, true. Have a great night. Come see me tomorrow night right here on Untethered Live for Politics, a show about politics-ish at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you then. Thank you for watching. God bless you all.